We're recording.
Howdy!
Hi there.
Hey, this is Barry with the Borderline Hostility podcast. With me, as always, my man D and my man Will.
Hello.
What's up, everybody? What's y'all doing? Doing anything fun lately?
Will,
I'm cosplaying as the Mother's Milk guy today from the Boys. If you haven't figured it out, I got the black shirt.
does this constitute blackface?
No, it's black clothes. I guess I'm black clothes.
It's being stupid. What you been up to, Will?
Well, the first thing you'll be glad to know, guys, that the guy who was naked on with the panda head on, like he's got his own Twitter page, and there's several videos of him doing it from different angles, and it's funny as shit. Like, you know, I was wrong when I suspected our friend Tim of being the guy. I still think he is, but like, you know, I got no proof, and he won't agree to a lineup that shows bare ass on rollerblades.
I mean, if Antifa was behind the Capitol riots, then Tim could still be the panda.
I gotta say, I mean, I've seen Tim's fruit salad, and it looked nothing like the panda guys. So it couldn't be him.
Yeah, but the what you doing thing, man. I downloaded a list of where I got a list of the 100 video games of all time. Right, I've been going through them, and GoldenEye on 64 was in that list. I have an emulator, like the 60. I have a 64 emulator, and I tried playing. I played GoldenEye briefly a long time ago, and on the emulator, it is next to impossible to play that game. Just because, like, you know, like, because that stupid 64 controller only had one analog stick, and you get used to modern, like, you know, like Borderlands and like Far Cry and stuff like that, where you use both the analog sticks, and it's unplayable. And I was pissed off talking about it, just because, like, I remember it being a fun game the brief time I played it. I was bitching about it at work. And a guy, there's that foul mouth little girl. Fuck you, Derek. Anyway, and the guy, he's a regular customer. We talk video games and movies and shit like that all the time. And he says, man, they did a remastered version for the PS3. And I ended up buying anything, and it's one of the best games I've ever played. Although, chronologically, Daniel Craig does the voice of Bond, but he wasn't. I don't think Daniel Craig was acting when GoldenEye came out, or if he did, he was really young, and so that's kind of weird seeing like them do reenactments of with the avatar of Daniel Craig in shit that I've seen. GoldenEye is my favorite Bond movie, and it's pretty wild just seeing, like, you know, him doing reenactments of Pierce Brosnan stuff.
So,
because
I'm okay, Will. I got a question for you. So,
yes, sir.
You're a Bond guy. I grew up with, like, Dad always watching them, but never really sitting down to watch them.
Yes.
Certain scenes are in my head. Could you see them, like, doing like a Bond franchise? Are there enough differences in the actors' Bonds that you can do like Mario 2, right? You've got like Mario, who's like an all-around, Luigi can jump and kind of float, Princess. Can you see like a Bond adventure where you can play it different ways based on like the Bond, or are all Bonds really the same?
Well, no. Here's the thing. The guy who directed GoldenEye is the same guy who directed Casino Royale. His name's Martin Campbell. And he's a pretty good director, although he's got that horrible Green Lantern movie under his belt. But like he did a great miniseries called Edge of Darkness, and I think he did the remake with Mel Gibson. And like he's just a pretty good director, all around. And the interview he did where he said there's two types of Bonds. There's the D. Martin Bond and the Frank Sinatra Bond. The D. Martin Bond are kind of like Pierce Brosnan and Roger Moore, where they're kind of silly. You know, GoldenEye's got some great action scenes in it, and but like they're kind of campy. It's sort of like the Roger Moore's Bond is almost like Adam West's Batman, and Pierce Brosnan's Bond is almost like Michael Keaton's Batman. Like, I mean, it's slightly campy, but there's a little bit more. I mean, it's kind of updated a little bit. And then the Frank Sinatra Bonds are like Connery and Daniel Craig, where they look like they can just legitimately beat the shit out of you. Like, like they're just tough guys. But like, it's hard because like the most popular ones here in America are the Roger Moore ones, because those are the ones that they always showed on TNT and TBS when we were kids.
Yeah.
See, growing up, the ones that I always saw, and I think they were like on HBO and shit, were the Timothy Dalton ones.
Those don't get enough credit, like, but
I think they're great.
License to Kill is like one of the goriest movies I've ever seen. And it's great because, like, they usually kind of stay away from, like, it's always implied violence in the Bond movies.
Well, have you played the Rocksteady Batman games, the ones that are on like PS3, Xbox 360?
Are they the Arkham games?
Say what?
Are they the Arkham games?
Yeah, the Arkham games. Yeah.
I have I think I have the first two of them, and I had a problem. I tried playing them, but like it was about this time last year when I had a sick cat, and my heart, I just couldn't concentrate on anything. The thing that kind of pissed me off is that I guess it's standard now. They do that fucking shit, the Resident Evil camera angle, where like the main character's off kiltered a little bit, and I just can't get used to that.
I was just kind of thinking like that style of game would be like a really great Bond prototype, like the detective work, the kind of getting around. And I don't know how you could kind of pull it off in like a hotel or like a Morocco setting, something like that. But that'd be kind of cool to see a game that, because going back to GoldenEye, me and D played some N64 games, played a ton of them, but I did not play shooters with you guys. Like you and Todd played a lot of games.
Yeah, Perfect Dark was where it was at for us.
Did you play GoldenEye though? A lot of it?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I don't remember you ever playing it.
I mean, when it comes to like the multiplayer stuff, I think Perfect Dark was a better game because it had like an insane amount of customization for your maps for like setting up the matches.
I remember we played some Bond. We played some GoldenEye at your parents' house, but I think you all played more of it than I did, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And Will, for that game, I mean, I'd assume that the multiplayer is why that game's on the list.
Yeah.
Well,
it's GoldenEye.
It's a good list, the IGN list.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because like they have GoldenEye like number 9, and damn. They also, it's weird because they have 2 64 games on the list. They have Mario 64 and they have actually they have 3. They have that Zelda game, the Ocarina. Yeah.
I've been playing Mario 64. I played it years ago and just never beat it, so I've been trying to play that.
Great game.
Say what?
It's a great game.
It is great. I just can't do that. I can't do the wing cap. I got it, and then I'm like, I just stuck with it. I don't know. I've never been good at the whole.
It's not to go backwards, but it's weird that. Will, did you say GoldenEye was your favorite Bond movie?
Yes.
I thought 67's Casino Royale was your favorite.
I never saw that one. It's not like, from what I understand, it's not considered a very good movie.
Yeah, it's probably top 10 worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And it may be because I went into it like thinking it was an actual Bond movie and not a spoof. It's bad.
Spoof movies are hard to pull off. Like, because there's no reason like why those scary movies are god awful, right? Yeah. But like they shouldn't be, because the guys who are making them now, the Wayans brothers made the first couple, but the guys who are making them now are the guys who did Airplane and Naked Gun. They got no excuse for them to suck.
Yeah.
I think they were just cheap cash grabs. I mean, a lot of spoofs are, and I think that there wasn't a lot put into them. It's just like, hey, we can do whatever the fuck we want, and the fact that it's a spoof on a popular movie will sell tickets.
Well, there's 3 dudes that like they always, I see them like in movie stores all the time, where I used to back when. But like they'd always have like they'd have like 8 or 9 spoofs like in the title, like yeah, I can't remember, I can't do an example of it, but like they go out of their way to like just make spoof movies and they make them as horrible as possible, and they keep letting these guys fucking make movies, and I don't understand it. But that's for another day.
I'm sure the budgets are dirt cheap. The problem is that Casino Royale movie has a 5.1 on IMDb, which is not a bad score, really. And it should be like a 3.
Oh, is it I don't know. Who? Peter Sellers, Peter O'Toole, and Woody Allen, right?
Sellers. I don't know. David Niven.
Oh,
Well.
The thing is, there's no reason for that to suck. Like, because both those guys were in the first Pink Panther, and the first Pink Panther's a great movie.
I was talking to a coworker recently about Peter Sellers, and outside of oh shit, I can't think of it now.
Strangelove?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting he's Doctor Strange. Yeah. Well, outside of Strangelove and something else, I have not seen hardly any Peter Sellers.
So Being There.
I saw Being There. That was what I've watched, probably the most recent.
Well, there's he did a bunch of movies with in the 50s and the 60s for a studio called Ealing. It was before even the Pink Panther. And Ealing movies were just these crazy British dry humor. They usually had Al Guinness or Peter Sellers in them, and they were dark comedies. Like A Fish Called Wanda is like a modern Ealing comedy, or as modern as 1988 is nowadays.
Yeah, he came up because my friend had watched Murder by Death and asked me if I'd ever seen it, and I had not. So
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
It looks great. That Fox Humphrey Bogart sounded really. He showed me the trailer for it, and I was like, yeah.
Well, it's a spoof of all of Sam Spade and Nick and Nora, the Thin Men and Thin Woman, and he plays Peter Sellers plays not Fu Manchu, Charlie Chan.
Yes.
And it's a funny movie.
Oh,
Al Guinness plays the butler. It's wonderful movie.
The blind butler.
Yes.
The deaf cook. Yeah, he was explaining to me the setup, and like I said, watch the trailer. I was, man.
If you could put a triple feature together of Murder by Death, Clue, and A House on Haunted Hill, that's like a perfect Saturday, afternoon, meal.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Hey, what you been doing?
I've been trying to go through my Steam backlog, and I started playing a game that Will would probably like a lot. It's called Bloodstained: Curse of the Moon, and it's like a Castlevania type game.
oh, is that the thing that it looked like it was the combination of Castlevania and Ghost of Goblins?
No, I can't remember what that was that I sent you, but this one's just straight up Castlevania. But the kind of cool thing is, and I've only started playing it, and I have 3 different characters right now, and they all have different abilities, and you can switch between them while you're playing. It's like the first guy is just he's kind of like mostly like Simon Belmont, but he has a little sword instead of a long whip.
Oh, does he slash it like Ryu Hayabusa Ninja Gaiden?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw. I think it's a fan made game, or it was a Kickstarter game.
Yeah.
They showed that because I think the guy who created Castlevania had something to do with that.
That's cool.
I heard it's great. I haven't played it.
Kojima is that his name?
Oh no, Kojima's behind Metal Gear.
I think it's the same guy.
Oh,
because he had the same guy who. I think they worked at Konami, and Konami they really don't make games anymore. They make like app games.
yeah. I mean, for what they were compared to what they are now, I mean, it's like Sega. I mean, they both are just. I mean, Konami was huge. I mean, that was probably the 3rd best developer for Nintendo for us growing up. But yeah,
Definitely top 5 with Capcom and shit.
yeah.
Yeah, Konami made some great games. Aren't haven't like all those companies been swallowed up by like EA or something, and then destroyed basically?
So Konami put out a on PS3. Well, if the shop is still open, I think it is. If you look up Contra Hardcore Uprising,
I have it. I have it.
oh, so freaking great! That's a great Contra game. Took me a while to play through it, but then that thing is awesome.
I got a gift card for the PlayStation Store, and I bought that. The Bionic Commando Rearmed.
Nice.
Then like they upgraded elevator action.
Nice.
Because I like elevator action a lot. It's a simple game. I mean, it's not. It's stupid how simple the game is, but like it's just like I can play the original one on Nintendo or an emulated arcade one for hours, and I got a big dumb smile on my face.
It's a great game, but it reminds me. I want to say it reminds me of Rampage, where it's like nothing really changes. You just keep over and over and over the same thing. It doesn't like, you know, get different or more intense as you go through the levels.
It gets hard that more bad guys show up.
Yeah.
They can shoot you at different angles, but there's nothing more satisfying other than I'll tell you about it in a second. But like when you squish somebody with the elevator action, that's one of the more satisfying things in the world. The other thing is the flip side of the coin. The most disappointing noise is in Galaga when they steal your fucking ship. Those two noises I can hear in my head, and it's like it's like the yin yang of like the good and bad of video game arcade noises.
I was gonna say like it's been years since I played it, but when you die in elevator action, doesn't it kind of have like the Pac-Man type thing where don't you kind of like curl up in a ball and spin around and it makes like an all equally disappointing noise?
Dun, 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 dun. That's the whole song.
Yeah.
I put Emulation Station on my PC, and you can scrape, which gets all the information for you. So like, it's nicely cataloged and stuff. But you can also have it download the manuals, which is something I desperately need for some of these games because I've tried to play a lot of the old classics, and I'm just like, without playing them, having any knowledge prior, and not having that manual to look through, man, it's fucking exhausting.
Thinking of like one of the greatest games on the I think the original PlayStation, like kind of joking, kind of serious, which was the Fantastic Four game that we love.
Loved it. Remember we played it like 1,000 times.
Yeah, the only problem is it's like it takes like 10 minutes to load each level. Even though they have that little like mini game that gets old like really quick.
Acclaim publishes Fantastic Four for the PlayStation, and I never really saw it ever. And we had a Blockbuster down here, and they're just getting rid of their copy. I guess no one rented it, and I bought it for probably like $5 or $6, And me and Dee played the hell out of it. It was a side-scrolling, kind of like a force,
like Final Fight and stuff.
It had some depth. It was 3D. You walk the streets and beat the hell out of things.
The Human Torch.
Yeah,
I remember the game.
But the problem is, like, I think even with the manual, it doesn't tell you all the special moves. And like we could like never find all the special moves, and like you would just fuck around with the keys and like, holy shit, how to do that? Because the Human Torch does this thing, goes up in the air and like swings down and does a wave of fire and crap. And it was just such a poorly done game, but it's still enjoyable. And the best part of it is when you fight the giant whales.
Yeah, I forget what they're called, but man, those are the hysterical. I mean,
they're like big ass humpback whales, like cartoony humpback whales, but they have like legs and arms, so they walk upright. And when you fight them, you hit them real quick and like, it's so ridiculous.
I'll have to get you a screenshot of that, Daisy, and cut it in. That's
yeah.
Do you all remember Bug Riders?
It's
considered one of the worst PlayStation games ever. And I mean, the title, they don't lie to you. You ride a bug, and and it's a race game. And if you beat your bug too much, you basically he becomes like not well, like kind of handicapped, and he starts flying the wrong way, where he'll dive bomb, or it's a horrible game. But like my buddy Chad, the same guy who took me to the Ozfest thing that we talked about a couple weeks ago, like he had that, and we played it, and we were just stupefied that that game existed.
It looks like a Star Fox ripoff.
Yeah, the graphics actually look pretty good.
It doesn't look bad. It just
the controls are horrible. The music's horrible.
So there was evidently a tie-in with Burger King, and they made Bug Rider kids club figures. So they had I guess their kids club cartoon figures, and then they put them on bugs, and they made little toys.
Nothing says a great tie into a restaurant than a bug franchise.
Yeah, man, the PlayStation, the original PlayStation was weird, and it's probably helped their popularity and making it big, but it seemed like they would let anyone make a game for it, and there were so many just absolutely trash games.
I'd like to know what the because I'd like to know what the production, how costly it was to make a PlayStation game. Not, of course, the cartridge versus disc, because we know the disc was a lot cheaper, but
I don't know about the first
thousands of polygons.
Yeah.
And, then you're talking 6.
Well, it's the first 3 systems I think were all incredibly complicated to make games for, because Sony's crazy, and so it had to be hard. I think it was the PlayStation 2 where if you ever read about companies making games for it, and they talk about the unit they have, it's huge. It's not like the console, and it was there was a 15-step procedure just to turn the system on or something crazy. It was insanely complicated. It's amazing that games are ever made on it.
I mean, trying to figure out the camera controls for 3D, for new 3D, I get that, but literally modeling Crash could take probably my nephew. He's a better modeler. I can't do models, but he could probably model Crash from PS1 in an hour. How long does that take to produce?
I feel one of the first ones was Mario 64, and they I feel like Mario 64 is one of the first real big kind of 3D with a camera, and that they I think they did about as good of a job as they could at the time. I think that I want to say it wasn't great. There was definitely issues. It was definitely annoying at times, but it was a major innovation at the time. They got halfway there.
Yeah.
Compared to terribleness before it.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering if that's how if Resident Evil is kind of done that way, where the tank controls, the we were talking about earlier, the fixed, the camera setups, where you kind of want to make it moody and you kind of make it cinematic, but at the same time it really makes it challenging to control. But you didn't have a lot of problems like you did in Mario.
Who made Silent Hill?
Konami was the.
So I guess it was Konami. I was watching this funny video where if it was Konami, then they I guess you'll look at it and let me know. They hired this company to remaster Silent Hill, and so this company got it, and they just didn't. they just didn't remaster it. They basically took things out of games. There was there was a scene where you get in a boat or something. Maybe it was Silent Hill 2. And the water effect was really poor. So they used fog to kind of cover it up. And the remaster, they just got rid of the fog. That's all they did. And then the best is if it was Konami, whatever they gave this company to remaster it, it wasn't, Konami had lost the original game. I guess the code behind it. And so they gave them an incomplete version of the game to work with, and that's what, and they didn't complete it, and so they released this remaster that arguably looked worse than the original, and had all these issues and all these bugs, and then Konami was like, "Yeah, we're gonna fix it," and they just never did. And evidently, that's a Konami thing.
It's Team Silent, which was the team they put together for the game, but it was ultimately Konami. But
yeah,
that's funny.
So, our I guess what have you been up to? We haven't gotten there before we get into our subject of pretty much news.
Well, like I said, I'm playing some R64. Played some. Uh, been playing some NBA 2K20. Um, been watching women's SEC basketball. Been getting into.
Interesting.
I don't know what it
Like,
is. Like, well, I mean, I've got.
are you
Saying, I've
are
got
you like naked and doing things while you're watching it, or are you actually watching it?
No, I'm watching. It's not like I'm in the background. I'm watching it, and
It's like I love giant women, snoo.
I've got like a new favorite player in the WNBA. I think it's Jordan Canada. She is amazing. I just found out. So I've been playing NBA 2K20, and they added girls to that iteration. They only did it where you can only play a season. They didn't do too much. Like all the ladies on there have like a 28 dunking. Like they're all like all the ratings are very similar. You know, like there's just so many ratings. On some of them, they just plug in one number for all of them. It's fine. Like it's not gonna be an issue. Like all their salaries are the same on there. Um, so you can tell that they kind of gave half a shit about it. But the gameplay's still like NBA 2K. So I've been playing that, learning the players, and but yeah, I was playing it somebody and got on YouTube and I was like watching like are they really that good? Because they were talking about this one lady on there that got like 53 points in the game. I was like, holy crap! Like, so I started doing YouTube research and they had Jordan Canada. Uh, there's a highlight reel of her, and I'm like, how she looks like she's moving twice the speed, got a real nice shot, good pass, good ball vision, or good court vision and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been watching the ladies there, watching the NFL playoffs, rewatching. I'm a big XFL guy. Like I like upstart league, and this last iteration last year, I loved. Like I went to a game in St. Louis, had a blast. Um, but I've got them all downloaded on my server, so I've been watching games that I didn't get to watch the first time around.
So
And
why doesn't Kentucky have a XFL team?
I'm surprised that Louisville just cannot get a professional team. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with the XFL. Like they, when the
Rock
Rock,
owns it.
the Rock owns it, but they're trying to figure out how the hell to make it. You know, I guess they're probably
Profitable.
like they're probably collecting capital now and trying to get investors to help
The
them
thing
out.
is, I think what hurt the XFL more than anything was it was tied to McMahon.
This time around, it was just football, and he wasn't on there doing promos. Like he stayed away. This one worked. This one was working. I mean, St. Louis, the game that me and my buddy went to, there was 30 some thousand people there. It was the best market they had, but they had 35,000 people. And the next week, I think they were opening the next level. Um, Seattle was doing 35,000 for a couple other games. And then some of the smaller markets like DC they were playing in a MLS stadium, which they're smaller anyway, and they looked like pretty full. So, you know, if they could figure out a better system, they're talking about doing um, a bubble. If they came back this year, they were talking about will they do a bubble? You know, if St. Louis is the best market and you do a bubble in St. Louis, you know, they could have had a pretty amazing season this year probably. But they're waiting one more year. Anyway, I've been watching those. I'm a big fan. I'm thinking about trying to get my buddy to buy season tickets next year for St. Louis, and like each week taking a new friend, like to introduce them because we had so much fun. The crowd was insane. It's not stuffy old white people that have season tickets and their families have passed it down for generations and they're all
It's
like
probably cheap, right? Like,
fucking ties. It was like 35 bucks a ticket,
yeah.
and it's all lower arena. So I mean, like 35 bucks a ticket for a lower arena game. It's college plus. I mean, these guys are the league MVP this year. Won the Panthers a game this year. He got signed on their team and then backed up Teddy Bridgewater. He got hurt, and PJ Walker came in and started the game and won the game for them. So I mean, there's more talent now than there was before.
This is totally off subject. Well, I mean, you kind of taps on what you said, but I can't help but feel like these days that pro teams or pro leagues, and now even like college, like at least college basketball, like I feel like in the past it was more of a lower mid class spectator sport, and now like the tickets are so expensive, and they have like sky boxes and all this stuff that it's like middle class can barely afford to go. Lower class definitely can't afford to go, especially getting season tickets. And then I think to some degree it's like almost like a status symbol. It's like I could see we have people that aren't really interested in the sport, but they go because it's like, hey, I spent this money and I have this skybox all to myself, and blah blah blah.
But here's the thing, though. So you bring that up, and you're absolutely right. But turn your TV on weeks 1 through 17 to our local CBS.
Yeah.
The Bengals are on, right? That Bengals game isn't on TV if it's not a sellout. So think about that.
Yeah.
The Bengals of all teams are selling out their games, and their games are being televised. If they don't sell them out, they black them out literally, so you can't watch them.
Yeah.
It forces local people to go watch the game. So if they're selling out, and those tickets are still over $100 a person, like
That's
those
insane.
those are $100 a piece for like nosebleeds.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's obviously a market for St. Louis or somebody even local more local to have a team that can sell tickets for $40 a piece, put out good. It's good quality football. Like the rules is what made the XFL great, in my opinion.
Did they get rid of fair catch?
They're still fair catch,
Oh.
but the kickoff.
They get rid of the. Please tell me they got rid of the pylon.
What's wrong with the pylon?
It's the lamest rule in the world. It's like, oh, I can dive. My entire body doesn't even cross the end zone, but if my pinky goes out and touches the fucking little cone, then that's a touchdown. That is so fucking lame.
It's just got to cross that little area. But no, so the XFL.
You don't even have to cross. You just have to touch the thing, don't you?
As long as you break the plane, if my screen is the end zone, if I'm out of bounds, if I jump out of bounds and do this, that's a touchdown because I'm inside. The ball is now inside this area.
See, I thought if you cross the plane, like if you dove over the line at the very edge, it went out of bounds when you landed, it doesn't count. But if your fucking foot happens to touch that stupid pylon on the way, then it counts, right? I swear that's how the rule is, but
I keep forgetting if it's a foot or if the ball. I think the ball actually has. I don't think you can't dive.
I swear I've seen people dive and like their entire body is not in the end zone whatsoever, but their foot grazed the stupid pylon, and it's like, oh, that's a touchdown. Like, what was this, like a kid sport now?
But anyway,
hot lava rules.
Yeah.
But no, the
Anyways.
kickoffs they do. I'll have to get you a little package, Steve, to watch these. I don't know if you watched it or not, but the kickoff for the XFL is amazing. They penalize the kicker for kicking it into the end zone. You literally have to kick it from the 1 yard line to the 20.
Man.
The guy has to catch it. He has to field it.
Here's the thing, a couple years ago, like for Christmas, my mom's a big football fan, which is weird. She's the only one in the family. Like my sister likes it too, but we're from Chicago, and '85 was the year that the Bears won the Super Bowl. It was also my kindergarten year, so she was kind of busy, and she had to deal with me, and she had to deal with my other sisters. Like so, she only got to watch one game, besides the Super Bowl, and it was the one game that they lost. They played against the Florida's team, the Dolphins. That's the only game that they lost. That's the only game she got to watch from beginning to end. I offer, I was able to buy I found the complete season.
Nice.
And if you watch the football from 1985, it looks completely different than the football of now, because people were getting chop blocked and getting slammed out of bounds. There's a Green Bay game where the Bears are playing Green Bay, and it's a great rivalry, but Walter Payton gets body slammed on the bench. It's my mom called me. She goes, "Did you watch these?" I go, "No." She goes, I had your sister and Mickey. She took a picture of a video of it on her phone and sent it to me, and it looked like it was professional wrestling back then. So I can't figure out, why the XFL just doesn't do how NFL used to be.
Well, because people get hurt and people, I mean,
Yeah,
those same guys that you're watching on those DVDs or VHS tapes have been suing, if they haven't already killed themselves, they've been suing the NFL for for all kinds of issues they've had because they didn't get pension, they didn't get health insurance. Those guys can really walk now.
Well, here's the thing, that's I understand that, but that's the same thing that McMahon did with his wrestlers. So I mean, because I've learned a lot of shit about Vince McMahon the past couple years. I really I hate his guts. And he can't lose his money quick enough for me.
Does he remind you a lot of Trump?
The Trump connection is one thing.
Well, I mean, just being like a scumbag that's like rolling in riches and doesn't care like who he stomps on or dies along the way.
Well, a big Trump connection is that the wrestling company that Vince owns used to be his dad's company.
Yeah.
And he just and he got it and he changed it and he made it suck. And I don't know, if you listen to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jim Cornette, but if you hear him bitch about wrestling, you kind of understand what he's doing if you actually watch the shit from the 70s, where it looks like Terry Funk and Harley Race are really killing each other, but that they were that good at their craft, and McMahon he ruined it. It's just fucking stupid. It's unwatchable, and and I hate his guts, and I hate his family.
It's hard to say. I mean, Vince is over it during a lot of eras, though. I mean, I don't think that the '80s wrestlers that we grew up with. I mean, maybe a lot of nostalgia, and we were also kids. But that shit's great. I mean, it was great then, and some of the stuff they pulled off in the Attitude Era was great. It's just, I don't know. I feel like that distinction there's a distinction between them on that point, which I think McMahon turned that federation into a much bigger brand than Trump ever did with his father.
Well, I don't know. They both are daddy's boys. That they had everything handed to them, and they never really. If they failed, they really. It's not that they lost everything. They still had their shit.
Yeah.
So I mean, it takes a lot of pressure off of you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to talk about them. Fuck them. I hate the McMahons.
But no, yeah, I'm gonna get you a little super cut of some XFL action.
Yeah, say it'd be. I guess once we all get vaccinated and shit, it'd be sweet to go back to a game. So even though I'm not a huge sports fan, it was fun when we did your bachelor party. Yeah,
that's a Reds game.
Well, it was fun and awful because I remember, was it a Bengals game we went to?
It was a Reds game.
Oh yeah, Reds games. I remember it was in Cincinnati, and I remember we parked really fucking far away from the stadium, and we had to walk back to the car in the rain.
Yeah, we parked in Newport. We didn't buy tickets because the Reds were dead last, and the Brewers were above them. Yeah. No one wanted to go to this shit show of a game, but it was on a Friday night. We go to the window, and they're like, "Yeah, it's sold out." I'm like, "Who the fuck bought these tickets?" And sure enough, we get standing room only tickets. And we get in, and we're we found some seats in the nosebleeds. And we're like, okay, cool, we'll sit there. And then it starts raining. And then we gotta wait for Steve's ass to poop for half an hour in a stadium bathroom. Who wants to spend more than 5 minutes on a seat at the stadium bathroom? And then we have to walk across the bridge, the walking bridge in Cincinnati. It's like Noah's Ark proportion of rain coming down.
We weren't ready for it. Didn't have any rain protective stuff or
a lot of shit when we got there. I remember being sweating.
Or no, remember we got there and we got those those nosebleeds, but then there was a delay of game for the rain, a very short delay, Like
Yeah.
everybody left. So then we went down to like really good seats because nobody was there. And yeah, the Steve thing was hilarious because we're waiting forever for him. We can't find him, and he's not answering his phone. We're like, where the hell is he? And we're all ready to go, so we're all standing there waiting on him. Then we see him, and he's like, just lollygagging his way towards us, and we're like, dude, what the hell? Let's go.
But once everything gets opened up again, we're definitely gonna have to take us a road trip and do us. We'll have to get Will off on a weekend and go to St. Louis or
Heck yeah, we should get Will off.
to go to a local like a regional
Yeah.
hockey game. Go somewhere there was like a minor league hockey game to be fun. Like we used
Staying there, I thought you were saying a Miley Cyrus concert. It's like, heck yeah, let's do that.
Anyway,
Let's take Will to a Miley Cyrus concert.
That's an interesting story, by the way. So not Miley Cyrus, but so when me and Daniel went to St. Louis, it was brought up recently. I think it was Christmas Eve night we were talking. So we show up. We go to the game. We get into St. Louis, the Saturday game. Get to St. Louis. We find a bar in downtown. We drink some, feeling pretty good. Like we've had several drinks at this bar. We walk to the stadium. We enjoy the game. We get let out. We get to our car, and we drive out to the suburbs. I kind of picked a really cheap but kind of far from the city hotel. We walk up to the counter, and I shit you not, if we had enough eyes on her, we'd probably recognize her as a porn star. This girl comes up, what looks to be in a bikini with a towel on, with obvious fake tits, with a guy carrying a camera, and he's talking to the person at the desk. And I look over at Daniel before I really have a good look at them. And Daniel's like, he's working it. He's like, they're filming a porno in this fucking hotel. Like they are filming porno here. And I look and I'm following his eyes and I'm like putting two and two together, but it's like slow for me because I'm like, surely not. And but they walk off and we start talking, going to our room, and we're like, holy shit, like if we hear some fucking banging, we need to jump in there for like a cameo and just like, hey mom, in the background,
I thought you should have joined in as like an amateur.
It was,
were you married at the time?
Yeah, it was last year. I think it was like last year.
Okay.
There's no way there was not a porno being filmed in that hotel. Oh god. But anyway, kind of run along there. So let's jump into some news. Will, you got some news?
Actually, I'm going to handbrake because I just you triggered some memory here. I got a story.
Getting Will off Miley Cyrus.
Oh yeah. Anyway, the first time I ever got high, I was 19. We were working at Winn-Dixie. It was me and my buddy Jeremy. He passed away. May he rest in peace. And our other buddy Eric. I'm outing him, so go fuck yourself, Eric. I love you. Anyway, so they bought it was a Reds and Indians interleague where they play each other for 3 games in Cincinnati. We went down there and there's 3 tickets for game 1, 2 tickets for game 2, and 3 tickets for game 3. I wasn't into baseball at that time, and they were like, well, we'll just sell the second tickets since you can't go. And I'm like, well, you guys just go. I'll just fuck around in the hotel. Anyway, they get me fucking. We go to the game. It's pretty cool. We got to see Doc Gooden hit a home run, which is weird because he's a pitcher, and he only hit 17 home runs. I got to see one of them. And then Manny Ramirez, we were sitting behind foul the home plate. He hit a foul ball, and Jeremy caught it. I mean, it almost landed right in my hands, but Jeremy was taller than me, and he caught it. Almost broke his hand. But we get to the hotel afterwards. We're having a good time. We're just having the time of our fucking lives. And like Eric was gonna go, like he got ripped off by the guy who was selling programs, and he was thinking about just like trying to find the guy and just like sucker punching him and taking off running. But we couldn't find the guy. But so we get back to the hotel. We walk across that bridge, and we're in the hotel, and they roll the joint up, and and we smoke it, and it didn't really affect me that much. So the Jeremy goes, "Fuck!" Because his hand was hurt because he got the ball. So he took a Coke can and he poked holes in it with something. It was probably a toothpick or something like that, and we made the cheap, like, like the redneck bong thing, the pipe.
Yeah.
And so that's how we smoked it, and that got me because it was more smoke, it was concentrated, and so I'm fucking high. It's the first time I've ever been high in my life, and I wanted to go swimming, but the pool was closed. So I ended up taking a shower, and I'm in the shower at the hotel for like 2.5 hours, to the point where like I've used all the hot water, and like
In the whole hotel.
yeah, it's just pissed out cold water, and like, so I used all the hot water in the big hotel hot water tank, right? And I get out, and I'm sopping wet, and like and they thought it was funny. They took the towels, and they took my clothes. I was high, and I didn't care. Like they're like so I ended up just they're both. We had one bed, and that was it. It's three dudes in one bed. So I'm like, all right, motherfuckers. So I just jumped in between them, and I'm sopping wet. And they're like, oh, God, man, you get the bed. Way to go, asshole. I'm like, where are my clothes? And, like, and then I get my clothes and everything like that. And then, like, the first time I ever had munchies. And Jeremy and Eric, they fall asleep. I grab the hotel key, and I go, okay, well, I need to go get some food. And I didn't drive. So, depending on Eric, he was a driver. But, like, I know I saw a gas station somewhere. And I didn't remember where. So I'm walking around Cincinnati in the middle of the night. And even though it's during the summer, we're by the lake. And, like, and there's the draft. And I'm still soaking wet from, like, the fucking shower. If I think about chapped lips, I get chapped lips, right? So I end up and I got chapped lips. I walked across the bridge back to the stadium. And, like, and I found a gas station. And all I wanted were Doritos and orange juice, which are the two worst things you can have for chapped lips. I get back, and it's one of those big 4.29 bags of Doritos too, like not like a little small snack size. It was the big like.
Sure, wasn't the 420 bag?
Anyway, and it was a gallon of orange juice. I get back to the hotel. I found my way back. I don't know how I did that. I get back, and I'm laying on. I fall asleep on the floor. I wake up, I got Doritos all over me. I drink all the orange juice. And then I had these herpes-like blisters all the way up to my fucking eyelids. And it was my lips were chapped that bad. And then, like, they went to the second game by themselves, and I'm trying to heal. We went to the third game, but we got high before the game. But the seats were a little bit worse. They were nosebleed section. So we're sitting in direct fucking sunlight, and I got this chap lip shit going on. I look like Tom Hanks in Philadelphia, like at the end of it. it was something. And then like we had to go, and like they were smart enough they took that Sunday night off of work. I didn't get to, so I had to like come home, like shower, and then go into work, and like I'm high and I'm sunburnt and I'm blistered. And that was my first time getting high.
So this is gonna be just like a stories episode. It seems like because it just made me think of that story that it's a great one. I don't know if I ever shared it or not with you guys. Derek, did I ever tell you the story of Chad's bachelor party? So
No.
Me and Derek's been friends for 20 years, which means he probably met Chad. Chad is my cousin.
Yeah, I met Chad when me and John, or was it me and John, or just John?
Oh my gosh!
Shit, I guess I'll have to cut out his last name.
Yeah,
where John was.
Yeah, that's a story for another time, I think.
That's a great story.
I guess we'll just tell a story. I guess 'cause it's a great little story.
Well, you know it better than me, but I think it was just John. It wasn't me, was it? I think it was just John.
It seems like it'd be a you thing, but I think it was just John.
What was it? Was it Spanking the Monkey? Was that what it was?
So my neighbor teaches Chad, who's probably then 6 or 7, to run around. Or he's maybe younger than that. I don't know. He could.
Yeah, way too young to have any clue what.
Yeah, but he literally teaches my cousin to run around with his pants down to his ankles in the front yard of our nice suburban house, and this yelling "Spank the Monkey," to my horror. But no, so Chad, he grows up. Derek's known him since he's been a kid. He's about 9 years younger than I am. So I just turned 40, so like he's a younger crowd, and so he invites me. Most of his friends are his age, and I'm the old man that's there playing grandpa role. But we have a nice weekend in Nashville and do all kinds of fun stuff. But I think the Saturday night was the big night. We're gonna go out and hit. I think it's Broadway, which is the big street where all the bars are in Nashville. Like that's what it's known for. This strip. All the country singers are 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 noticed here. Anyway, so there's like 8 of us, I think. Before we actually go out, we are drinking in the room and watching a football game and decide, hey, let's go out and just play football in front of the hotel. We don't have a football, mind you, but we have a bag for the ice bucket, and we have some toilet paper rolls. So we make a little football out of put a toilet paper roll in the bag, tie it up. That's our football, and we're just playing in the front. Like I'm talking like where the valet is, where you pull up your car and unload your bags. We're playing there, like a bunch of fucking rednecks. And we play for like an hour, and we're sitting there going like, well, shit, we're going to go, but like half of us need showers again. So we kind of go back in and get cleaned back up. But we go out, and we instantly, half the group just splits. Like 4 guys are trying to just fucking hook up with random women. All the single guys are out just like playing wolf. You know, they're trying to find their prize. And we keep running back into them, but it's so busy and so hectic on this road that you really can't stay. If you can't stay together, you're done for. You're not going to see these guys again until the next morning. And we kept splitting apart and kept trying to make plans, and then like they would take off, and it was nuts. It was madness. But we get to a point where this girl walks up, and she's like 5 foot nothing, skinny, pretty girl, well dressed, and she had to have been high. I don't know if she's high, drunk, combination thereof, but like so bad off that she could barely talk. And I'm like, we're in the middle of Bedlam, drunken college guys, all this. I'm like, Mama Barry takes over. So I'm like, because she keeps looking at me. I'm like, what's up? Do I know you? Like, how's it going? And she's just like, she's mumbling. So I'm like, well, shit. I've initiated. Now she wants to try to talk to me.
Wait, is this the how you met your wife story?
Like she's kind of just like in our vicinity. Like she won't leave us. She's not with anybody else, but she's so fucked up that I'm like, she will get raped on this street if someone doesn't take care of her. She's that bad off. So we got half the parties like trying to fucking bang out all over the place. We got Chad, who we're trying to get Chad good and toasted and having a good time. And now I've picked up like a
stray.
Yeah, I picked up a stray that I need to take care of. I'm literally like, she's half like passed out, but talking. It was weird. I don't know how to describe it. But I'm literally kind of like eventually carrying her around for like half an hour. And then she'd be like, hey, I'm good. And then like walk off and then like walk 5 feet, turn around and like look at me. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, what do you need? Like, we had to get her something.
She needed you. She needed the berry.
He's that bad off. Like, I don't think she knew where she was, who she was talking to, if I was a bear or a person. Like, I don't know what she thought. But no, long story short, like, she keeps, like, walking off and, like, returning. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. And there was an accident. Someone got into a fight. And some guy got knocked the fuck out. And there was, like, police in the area. So I'm like, hey, there's a girl over there. She's bad off. I don't know if they went over there and talked to her. I don't know if she went to the drunk tank that night or what, but like I felt so bad. Like I didn't know what to do. And then my friends, Chad's guys were like, hey, let's go. And I'm like, I got this like kitten I got to take care of over here. She's got, she's kind of messed up. And then we get her out of her hair. Say what?
She probably, while she was locked up, she was telling people like, yeah, my new fiance, who I just met, who I thought was the world, had me locked up. He's with his friend.
But man, I've never seen someone as bad as she was that could walk. That's how bad she was. And I mean, like I said, I don't know how she would have been raped or jumped, like one or the other. I mean, because like she looked like she had money, But anyway, so we get that taken care of, and then we kind of, it's so loud you can't call each other, so you're just constantly hoping. And it's like a 10 street block. You're just hoping to run into everybody else. But every like hour or two, we get like, hey, so and so, and then someone else splits off. But there's always like this group trying to get Chad drunk. By the end of the night, he's just kind of doing his own thing in the corner. Like we kept losing him because he'd like walk off and kind of dance.
Okay.
So he was feeling good, but we got to a point where like it was time to go. Like Chad was ready to go, and we only could find half of us. So we're like, fuck it. They're on their own.
You
They're
only
adults.
find half of Chad like that. This is a dark story. he was on the train tracks. So we can only find half of him.
So we get in the car, it's a Uber, and the guy's like, your friend is fucked up. Like, it's a $250 cleaning fee, just so you know. And we're like, Chad, just so you know, you ain't puking in this car. So we're trying to make sure we get back to the place, and there's a Jack in the Box, and we're like, shit, we haven't had Jack in the Box in a bit. So
oh my god.
the guy we're like, take us to the Jack in the Box. So we go to the Jack in the Box, we go through the drive-through. Shortly before we get to the hotel, Chad's about to throw up, and we're like, stop the car. Like, Chad sticks his head out the window, throws up, kind of comes back to. We get to the hotel, and like, I'm out. Like, me and Chad are out. I think the other two guys that were with us are doing something else. They went off to the bar at the hotel. I don't know what they're doing. We wake up, and the other four guys. So the other four guys, two of the guys find like these two cougars that literally they go back to the hotel with, but like don't do anything. I don't know what happened there. The other two guys get fucking hammered, realize that they've been left, get an Uber, proceed to be such shitty people to the Uber driver. They think. I mean, they don't really. There's just them putting it all together. Like, either they're shitty to him or they're so drunk that they can't give him the right directions. So they get dropped off at the wrong hotel and then decide just to walk. I think they think they're close. They walk like 5 miles back to the hotel and show up. Like, the next day, the people were like, where's all this mud? And they had walked through fucking the countryside to get back to the hotel. And, but yeah, that picking up that stray was like that was an interesting experience. Odd. Take care of your fellow man, you know?
Since we're doing story time, I think I'll just tell the Korn concert story that we mentioned.
Tell a story for a bit.
Huh?
You go and tell a story for a bit, so go ahead.
So it was a great time. So it was me, you, Todd, and Kent that went. It was a Korn concert and Rob Zombie, like, double feature type thing. I can't remember the name of the band that opened.
Videodrome?
Yeah, maybe.
Videodrome.
They weren't terrible. They weren't great. They weren't great.
Yeah.
Not our style music, but anyways. So it was in Louisville, right? And I remember like so at this time Kent is like goody two shoes, like holier than thou, God's little child, and won't say cuss words. And like if you said shit in front of him, he'd probably flinch and be like, and put up, like the cross and stuff like that. And so I remember when we got there, were you say, well,
I'm going to cut you off, but talk about Kent, the same
yes.
Kent I know.
Yeah, Kent used to be like the epitome of goody two shoes.
I wonder if it's before or after I knew him.
I don't know.
Right before we all met, because this was 99, I think.
Okay, I didn't meet you all until 2002, 2003.
I met Kent.
I don't think I met Derek until like 2012.
No, you were at our house in like 2002, 2003. Remember, I had that townhouse.
Oh yeah. Derek dressed up like a pirate.
Yeah.
Well, no, dude, before that, we had the townhouse, and Ken. We hosted Thanksgiving one year for Ken.
Yeah, because that's when I met Derek. That's like, he did the pirate thing.
Probably had dreadlocks then too, or something.
He had dreadlocks then, yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many great things that happened. I remember we had to borrow your parents' outlet, or what was it?
Land Cruiser.
Land Cruiser, yeah, the Land Cruiser. And didn't we hit like 100,000 miles on the way there when we were stuck in traffic on the interstate?
I think
We
we
did a
did.
Chinese fire drill on the interstate. And so we show up, and I remember we're in line to get in. We're in this huge line to get in. There's 2 sets of double doors, and everyone's waiting in line to get to this one set of double doors. And I remember a fucking shit. Uh, I'm trying to a limo. God, I couldn't think of the word limo. I remember a limo pulls up to the curb and runs over like a full bottle of uh, Mountain Dew, like one of the ones you get in the store, the fat or at a gas station, and it explodes all over all of us. So before we even get in the concert, we're covered in fucking Mountain Dew spray.
Remember that the sound too.
Yeah,
That was like a gunshot.
yeah. And then, and I remember we're sitting here waiting in line forever. Like it probably took us like 25 minutes to get in. And when we get close to the doors to get in, I see these people walk up to like the double doors right next to the ones we're waiting in line, and just like walk straight in. And we're like, what the fuck? All these people waiting in line for nothing. They could have gone these other double doors. So we get in, and I mean, the real story's after the concert, but I'm just all the fun things that happened up to it. So when we're there, I think it was Videodrome, then Rob Zombie, and then Korn.
Yeah.
And the Rob Zombie was a cool show because he had these like fucking like 35-foot tall robots on stage that were driving around, that on tank treads were driving around. And every time a giant fireball would go up, and we were nosebleeds pretty much, and you could feel that heat blow past you. So I can't imagine what it was like on stage. But because Kent was goody two shoes at the time, we had to the right, like we were right next to one of those little entrances you go through. You walk through to get to the back to buy condiments and shit. And
Like condiments?
I'm only drinks and food and shit, whatever.
Get you ketchup and
And so we were like, if you're facing the entrance, we were to the right of it, like right to the right of it, and then right to the left of it was basically a stripper with like an old man.
there were like 1,000 strippers at that show. I don't know how many knockers I saw at that show.
But this one was like the epitome of a stripper, and had this little old man with her that I'm sure is just like her, her paid date or whatever. And then there was also like a chick above us with a large rack, and the chick above us, large rack, would pull him out every once in a while, and we'd be like, "Hey, Kent, look, Kent," and he would like avoid doing it. They said he was like goody two shoes. God is great, but
do you remember he was so known for like that?
Yeah,
we moved into English Manor, Will, if you remember those. Well, you remember where Ken and Kent
the English man
rented for a bit. We knew it was gonna give him hell. We put porn on. He came in and like shot out the door and stood outside the door until we turned it off.
Here's the thing. I don't know if this might be edited out. I missed the guy. We should try to have him on as a guest.
Yeah, he'd be a good
I remember when he used to play football, and he never played. He played baseball a little bit and some basketball, and he was always like really technically sound with those.
Yeah,
and we taught him how to play football, and he became like fucking Mike Singletary out there. Like he was tackling people. He's like, "Did I do it right?" And we're like, "Dude, that was
he's like the water boy."
Yeah, it was amazing. I've never seen the likes, and he wasn't a big dude, but he could take down anybody with the best technique. But anyway,
but no, so then the girl across from us that, like I said, was a stripper, like maybe halfway through the Rob Zombie set. So you're talking about the last half of Rob Zombie and the entire Korn set. She strips down just to her panties, and sits there and dances topless in her panties like the whole show. And so obviously we're there to watch the show, but there's also that show right next to us. So me and Todd at the very least are like watch a show, and they're like, "Oh, titties," and then watch a show, "Oh, titties," and we're like, "Can't check it out. She's naked." And I want to. So yeah, it was a great show, and then Korn was doing their thing where they had this big cage above the stage, and they bring all these people from the audience in, and have them up there like partying and shit like that. But anyways, the real story is after the concert. What's up, Will?
I just y'all torturing Kent with
Oh yeah,
look, titties.
yeah, and
I can't imagine him like just like covering his eyes, like him just getting down and like and genuflexing and just like going through the Hail Marys, trying to like purify his.
I mean, he was totally that friend. Like when you were young, you'd put like the movie Predator on. He'd be like, "I can't watch this. Mom says I can't watch this." And you'd be like, "Motherfucker." So the real and so the reason I'm telling all this is all build up to the after concert part.
This is
I'll okay, so I guess so we're heading home from Louisville. It's like probably like 2 or 3 a.m. and we're all fucking hungry, so we see a Steak and Shake. We're like, oh fuck yeah, Steak and Shake. So, nothing else is really open. Not that Steak and Shake isn't awesome, but anyway, so we're in the drive-through Steak and Shake. So Barry's driving. He's in the driver's seat in his parents' Land Cruiser. Kent Goody Two Shoes would never do anything to harm or hurt anybody. Is sitting next to Barry in the driver's seat, and me and Todd are in the back. And me and Todd were like hellions back then. Like we would torture Barry when he was driving, and one of our things to do was to act like we were asleep. And so we'd be like, "Hey Barry," and then just act like we're asleep. So he'd look in the mirror and see us, and just stupid shit like that. And so we're in the drive-through, and the guy on the intercom is just flaming as all hell.
Very
like, super
flamboyant, I think is the best way to say it.
Whatever.
May I suggest that you might not?
No, it's fucking stupid. Like, if you all think that we're homophobic, then fuck off. You can eat shit. We're not at all. I have several gay friends that are very close to me. Anyways, so this guy's very flamboyant.
Yeah, okay.
This guy is very homosexual acting. We'll fucking play PC bullshit. Anyways, okay, we're fucking. This is like 20 years ago. We're young. We're immature. We're not as advanced as we are now. So yeah, this is like not a very. This isn't the most proud story, but anyways, so. We're telling Barry everything we want to order, and so he's the only one really talking. And every once in a while, me and Todd are just like, I love you," and just like making moaning sounds saying "I love you," and the dude's just like giggling on the intercom. And Barry's fucking just like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you guys." He's like getting so pissed off. And so just before, after we order his shirt, before he's pulling up to the drive-through window, me and Todd are like, "Dude, let's act like we're asleep." Like, yeah. And this is the greatest thing ever, because so Barry pulls up the drive-through window. This dude's cheesing like crazy because we've been like making moaning sounds saying "I love you" and all stupid shit, like 3 a.m. And he sees Barry there, and he's I'm assuming he looks in the car. Me and Todd are in the back seat acting like we're asleep, and the best part is Kent is in the passenger seat acting like he's asleep too. So Kent fucking joins in. Mr. Goody Two Shoes, never thought we'd do it, joins in. Barry's the only one there. It looks like he's awake, like he's been moaning and saying I love you. Has to pay for the food and take the food from this guy. And the best way to end this is, I believe it's on the way home. Todd had to pee, and us being little rapscallion hellions and being on the interstate, he just pisses out the window.
See, I can't regret. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
I don't foresee him peeing out the window. I think did he pee in something and pour it out and throw it out the window?
Yeah. Okay, I think he may have peed in his Steak and Shake cup and then thrown it out the window at interstate speeds. And so the next day, your mom is like, "Barry, did you all spill a drink in the Land Cruiser or something?" And Barry's like, "I assume you were like, no, why?" She's like, "Well, because your sister's hair got stuck to the window." So more than likely your hair got stuck to Todd's pee splatter by throwing a cup of piss out the window at interstate speeds.
This is the shit that they would do. They would do shit like this all the time. And I'm like, and he's picking on Kent, but I was pretty much very similar, right? I was very P's and Q's.
You weren't near. I mean, they weren't nearly as bad as Kent, but yeah, you were fairly good at Two Shoes at the time.
Yeah. So it always drove me nuts. They just couldn't fall in line. It drove me nuts. It was comical in hindsight, but it always pissed me off. It wasn't there moaning at this guy that thought I wanted to hook up in a fucking bathroom. It was the fact that like they couldn't just behave in a fucking drive-thru.
Yeah.
That's what killed me about that. And then yeah, and it was a fun trip. Of course, I mean, earlier we talked about going to a game or something in the future. I mean, those were days when we were carefree, didn't have shit to do, didn't have shit we owed anybody, and but still, it'd still be fun to go out and go see a concert with when everything opens back up.
So you need me and Todd in the back seat, opening the doors and slamming them shut while you're driving, and like lighting matches in the back seat, stupid shit. Todd mooning people at the subway as we drove past.
I didn't party. I didn't party in high school or anything, but Todd did. Todd and you would. And
Yeah.
I'd go pick up your all's drunk ass sometimes. And I remember Todd called me one time late. He was like, "Can you come get me?" So I went out and got him. And he drank too much. He was fucking sick already. And then he thought it was a good idea to microwave a Tostino pizza, or Totinos, or whatever they're called, and trying to eat a frozen pizza microwaved. And I remember him semi-sleeping, semi-throwing up throughout the night. And then he left in the morning and threw up all over my parents' landscape.
No, that was me.
That was you? No. That wasn't that time. That was another time.
Oh, okay.
was Todd.
So me and Todd both
All over
inadvertently threw up all over your parents' landscape.
assholes.
Yeah. Yeah, that time I threw up on your parents' landscape was a time that we were staying at your house for the week because your parents were out of town.
Yeah.
And we toilet papered your house. And you knew we did it. We tried to act like it was one of the neighbors. And you come home, and me and him are acting like we're asleep. We're doing our thing. We're acting like we're asleep in your bed.
Yeah.
And we hear you like come in from the garage all the way downstairs, and you're like, "Motherfuckers, where are you?"
Like stomp into the house. It's like fucking Stone Cold coming out of the entrance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
It's fight.
Or like Goldberg with the fucking shower sparks on you.
Oh shit, we had some good times for sure. Oh my god, Todd, he got me the most. Me and Todd, we had a fucking. I can't remember if he was naked or very close to it. We had like a plunger fight, like a recently used plunger fight. You remember that, D?
Yeah.
Like
I'm glad I wasn't a part of it. I stayed the fuck out of it.
We had guests, and for some reason we started fighting about a plunger. And I mean, I got to the point where like we were like shoving it, like trying to shove it on each other. And
Okay, I got it. Since you mentioned Todd and Nick, I got to tell a great story. So this is our band time. So it's me, Barry, Todd, and Steve. And Steve at the time was goody two shoes. Well, yeah, kinda. And but he was like, he would do anything for you. And so we're at my parents' house in our basement. God knows why Steve agrees to do this, but we kind of hatched this plan without Steve knowing. So Todd goes into the toilets in the basement.
Well, set it up there, D. So our band space was in the basement, and
Yeah,
Steve drum set.
Steve's our drummer.
3 feet from the doors, the bathroom doors opening. So he's sitting there playing drums. Doors about 3 feet behind him.
No,
Right?
not this time.
Yeah, it is because he comes out and yeah.
No, not this time. It doesn't matter. This time he's over by the window that goes out back, but not that it matters. But so Todd goes in the bathroom to supposedly take a shit. He doesn't have to take a shit or anything. And I don't know how we hatched this plan without Steve hearing us or anything. I can't remember the setup, but Todd, for whatever reason, Todd asked Steve at my house. He's like, "Oh, there's no toilet paper. Can you give me some toilet paper?" Because Steve's such a nice guy, he doesn't do the normal thing and ask me to go get it.
It's your
He's
house.
like, okay. And so I told him where his bathroom upstairs, probably some in the cabinet under the sink. So Steve in my house goes upstairs to get a roll of toilet paper for Todd. It was all set up. So then Steve's coming down the basement stairs. We hear him coming.
halfway through the stairs.
And I'm sure he's coming downstairs and he hears someone like lightly playing on his drum set, which I don't think he really liked people playing on his drum set for the most part. He wouldn't not let you, but I don't think he really liked it. So he comes downstairs and Todd is butt fucking naked, like 100% naked, no socks or anything, sitting on Steve's little drum chair playing his drums. That was the whole setup. We had nothing to do with Todd taking a shit. We just wanted to get Steve out of the room so Todd could sit on his throne butt naked.
it took him about like what 2 seconds to realize like, wait a second, he went there to shit.
It's
And
not right here.
Oh shit! Like yeah, Steve's face. And Todd doing that his whole like.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Are we done with story time, or should we move into? I mean, basically, we're doing a two-part. The plan is to do a two-part episode, so our theme for this episode is mostly news because so much fucking shit has happened.
Missed last week, so yeah, it's like kind of a double.
Yeah.
Up week,
So should we jump straight into news, or you got anything else for us, Will?
I'm just laughing.
I mean, Todd. People that don't know Todd, it's kind of hard to kind of picture, but my God, here's Todd in a nutshell, right? I've seen Todd's penis almost as much as I've seen mine.
Yeah.
So that's Todd in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I could probably draw it, is what I'm saying.
I guess Todd would just like come around you just come around the corner and be like, Todd be like, what's this? And his fucking dick would be out like, damn it, dude. I was pretty bad about that too, but not as bad as Todd.
Well, Todd would poop naked. Like that was his trademark. Todd would poop naked. So there'd be many a night where he would be out drinking, come home, and be fucked up, poop, and just like walk to his bedroom and sleep.
No, he would just have the door open to the bathroom. Shit.
That happened too. Yeah, he just shit up the door open. Yeah. Oh my God.
Good times.
Well, Will?
No, it's just, I don't know, like, you just...
Oh, shit.
The Kent stuff's fucking killing me.
Yeah. I don't know how many times we were like, no, we did the same thing to you, Barry, because you remember we went to that outdoor concert, and we're like, look, Barry, tits, Barry. But you weren't as bad as Ken.
No, yeah, I'm checking them out. I mean, I feel like I can't look, even though they had them out on purpose. I'm looking.
Even though they had them out on purpose. What the fuck? I like how you qualify, like, oh, they had them out on purpose. Like some dude just come rip her top off. It's like, woo!
I had that unnatural respect for women. Not that you shouldn't have respect for women, but I had like that 3,000% respect for like, I'm unclean.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you're talking about that story with the drunk girl or the high girl. It's like this girl I used to work with. She threw like I think it was her 18th birthday, and I mean I was probably 22 at the time or something. And so I go to it, and she's getting fucking hammered, and she was a little bit of gets around, but I hated it because like she's in this little tube top, and she's totally hammered, and is that like sitting on my lap and doing all this weird shit. What the fuck? Did you invite him?
Yeah.
Heard you guys were talking about me.
Yeah.
No.
This is unexpected.
No, stop. Keep my name out of your mouths.
Oh, he's gone.
That was great.
Did you send him an invite?
Yeah.
Awesome. But no, so this girl, like, that was Kent, by the way. I was so mad because this girl's totally hammered, and this random guy at the party, it's like, oh, hey, he looks at me because she's sitting on my lap and just flirting me and shit, so he thinks that, like, I know her real well or whatever. I really didn't. But I just worked with her, and he was like, hey, man, like, you think that, we could get her to take her top off? And it's like that, like, she was, like, I didn't want, like, anything terrible to happen to her, and like, that's fucked up. And so I was like, nah, I don't think so. And then this other guy that was, like, good friends with her that we work with, that was, of course, he was always probably trying, like, wanting to sleep with her. But he was like, yeah, I think I could. And I'm like, you motherfucker. And I had, like, a, very low opinion of that person. After, like, it's like, this is, like, your friend. And you're like, yeah, I think I can talk her into taking her top off in front of, like, 40 people. Like, what the fuck? But anyways, so that was our buddy Kent. I was hoping he wasn't going to stick around any.
No, I sent him a message. And I was like, hey, man, we were just talking about you. I missed you. And, like, we want to get you out. He goes, keep your name out of my fucking... Keep my name out of your fucking mouth. It made me laugh because as you're telling me that, you're like, as he was saying that, you're saying about him being a goody two shoes, and it made me fucking laugh.
That was
Uh,
terrific, Tom.
and then I was like, oh shit, man, join the meeting real quick. He goes, I'm solo parenting right now. And I'm like, just a second and just say what you just typed there.
Nice.
And it's like that. That was great.
Well, okay. So his wife reached I don't think I've ever met his wife, but she's seen our interactions on Facebook. So she reached out to me. It was like, oh, it's his
Birthday thing?
huh?
Was it the birthday thing?
Yeah,
Where she sent like a piece of paper and you had to write something on it?
yeah. So she sent all those things where like she sent out a piece. She contacted me on Facebook and sent me a piece of paper to write a memory about Kent, and I wrote as much as I could fit on that little piece of paper. I wrote that corn concert. Well, just leaving the corn concert story, and so we'll have to cue her in to watch this episode so she can know the whole story and everything that happened and how Kent used to be the goody two shoes back then, which hopefully won't get his marriage in trouble. I can't
It's like now the Kent story. This is the Kent issue or episode, But
yeah,
no.
this has become the Kent episode.
There was 5 of us. We were all graduating and ready to move out of the house, and 5 of us got a 3-bedroom apartment, and so Will mentioned working at Winn-Dixie. I too worked at Winn-Dixie. Kind of knew some of the same players. Worked at different stores, but it was me and my buddy Justin who got me the job there, and then Kent and our friend Goldie. And it was that was how it was set up. Like I don't know what you did, Will, but I stock, so we would split that. We would do evens and odds. So Justin and myself would do like the odds, for instance. So we'd be stocking one aisle. Kent and Goldie would be stocking the other aisle. We worked together for about 1.5 years and we were really all super close. And then we kind of staged the walkout. I was at home. We kind of had an unofficial union where
Winn-Dixie walkout.
Yeah.
The great Winn-Dixie walkout of 1998.
Yeah, there you go. So I was starting college, and and I had Thursday night class. That's the truck day. And they all were in their senior year of high school, if I remember correctly. And so, Goldie and Kent. Anyway, the truck came late, and it was like big test day the next day for both of them. And they're like, dude, it's late. It's midnight. We got to go. And they were told, like, if you leave now, don't come back. And a friend of ours kind of laughed in the manager's face, and all 3 of them clocked out. And then they got on Messenger. That's how old the story is. I was on
AOL Messenger.
Yeah. And I got a message on there that said, hey, we quit. Like, we're done. I'm like, okay, cool. And I didn't have to work till Sunday. And it was opening week, or it was a big game for the Bengals. And I think I was supposed to be in at 1. Well, the game started at 1. So we were all at the house because they knew it wasn't official that I had quit yet. This is the only time I've really just like walked off a job. But about 1:10, I get a call. It's like, hey, they wouldn't know if you're coming in. And everybody was like, what's he gonna say? What's he gonna say? And I'm like, I'm watching the Bengals game. Click. And I hung up the phone, and it was like pandemonium in my room. We were all like, yeah. It was like
You're definitely good at two shoes back then.
Soccer hooligan, 1-0 Ireland soccer win. Like it was crazy. It was nuts in there. And
everyone had their face painted, and they were taking their shirts off and spinning around.
Yeah, but we had some great times. And when we moved out, when it was time to move out, that next summer, we all got a place. And me and Justin were always best friends from like 3rd grade, but
Justin's an asshole.
Yeah, he could be an asshole, and
nobody wanted to room with Justin.
Yeah, and he apparently got really mad when I told him that no one wanted to room with him because he was an asshole. That was a fun conversation to have. He asked me one time why he was a guy with room to himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, me and Kent shared a fun year of somehow we're the only 2 guys in the house that had girlfriends and sharing a room, so that made it complicated. And
y'all never did wife swap or anything?
No, we never swapped.
Not inadvertently.
That was probably the most I've ever gained in a year, because we were bringing home like day old bagels and shit like that left over. Yeah, from Panera. So like, I mean, I just fucking ballooned that year, and there's just like a lot of stories. But I thought about that because you mentioned that card that his wife sent.
Yeah.
Um, that year, um, I think that was the year he may have met her because I think we had an English class at UK, and she was in it, and she was very funny, always cutting up and super sharp, and she was just always a good time in class. But uh, when she sent that message to me on Facebook, I just drew a picture of our kitchen from that townhouse because our kitchen was legendary. It was so nasty. It was so
Yeah.
gross. We ended up we were in walking distance from the restaurant, and it was kind of loose at times. We had so many dishes that we just threw them in fucking trash bags, and like walked him up the street, and just walked through the store with these trash bags into the back, and just started doing dishes on the industrial dishwasher.
That thing's awesome though.
We can do them in like 20 minutes. It's gonna take us
Yeah.
5 hours to do all the dishes at the house because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And we did all kinds of random shit. We stained. There was a drawing of like a decapitated Santa Claus.
Yeah. That was
on the
great. And like
fridge.
red Sharpie on the,
Yeah.
on the refrigerator door.
We destroyed that house, but
Yeah, I remember because I remember in you and Kent's shower was black.
yeah, I don't understand what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know what. I mean, that was definitely unnatural, but I remember you were like, I swear, like when you all were gonna move out, you were like, yeah, I think we'll get some more deposit back. Like, no, there's no fucking way.
It was like someone drew with a marker in it. Like it was. There's no way. Like I don't know how. It must have been a chemical reaction that caused it to look that gross.
I think that's when Kent shed his inhibitions, is what it was. Now, since we've brought these people up, you got to tell the Applebee stories when they would call you.
So yeah, they'd all go to Applebee's. We lived near an Applebee's, and it was.
Don't mean to cut you all off or anything like that, but I'm gonna have to pee here in a second. And
well, I'll tell the Applebee's story, then we'll both take a break because I got to pee.
just go in your pants, Will. Just go all over yourself.
But Justin had some friends that always go to Applebee's for happy hour and get wings, and if I didn't go with them, which is very often because I was a homebody, I'd get a call. I'd be in like bed, and it'd be like, "Hey," it'd be Justin's phone number. It'd be like, "Hey, this is like April. Is this Barry?" And I'm like, "Who's April?" And they're like, "Is it true you have like a micro penis?" I'm like, who is this? And it'd be the waitress. They'd have the waitress like prank call me, and they'd call me about the stupidest shit.
Like jack off, stupid shit.
And they'd ask me like how much I jacked off, or like just random ass shit. And it happens so often.
Did you even do that today? Like, holy shit.
But yeah, it was just. Oh my god, that was.
Tell you what, man. You talk about today. You know what they get really mad about nowadays? You have a fake cast on and you use chloroform to get a hitchhiker. Motherfuckers are prudes. There's a break.
There's a break. All right.
Hey, before you go, Barry.
Yeah.
What do you keep looking over? Is there somebody like in the room with you?
Is there someone? No, I just have the TV on. I turn it off because it'll light up, and then it'll catch my eye.
I thought the wife was over there like flashing you, dancing and shit.
Ooh, shit.
It's like, oh, here's the corn concert here. Woo!
I
just want to make sure
window right here. So like, if the wind blows, I'll see the branches, and I'm like, what's that? Or like a light contrast on TV will happen, and all of a sudden I'm like, huh?
You go tinkle.
I'm tinkling. We watched that WandaVision show last night, and it is very interesting. Did you watch it, Andy?
Huh? No, I haven't watched it.
Well, so Lucas trying to fill me in because I can't remember my MCU very well, but like I guess Scarlet Witch, Vision.
Have you even seen the movies?
I have.
Okay.
But like, what? Vision's killed, and like Scarlet Witch is kind of knocked. You don't see her after, like, she gets knocked by Thanos, and that's pretty much it. That's like the last you see of her. But the show is the first episode is what feels like an I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
And you don't get any sense that it's anything but that, except for like 30 seconds. And you're like, what is this? And then it ends, and it gives you something's up. And then the second one is shit. What's the second one? The second one's a Bewitched homage, and you get more and more hints that something's not right. And I have no idea where this show's going, and it's super cool. Like, I mean, for one, being an old classic TV buff, like it's cool to see how they're doing it. But the third one looks like it's going to be a Brady Bunch. Like they moved a color, and it's very much a Brady Bunch set. So they're now, I guess, in the 70s on set of Brady Bunch, but it's Wanda and Vision, and yeah, I'm waiting to see where it goes because it could be one of those things where you may have to find a copy of it somehow. Will it's pretty good so far.
Well, I mean, it's easy enough to like torrent or watch shit streamed online.
I love Paul Bettany, like so he's been one of my favorite actors now for almost 20 years.
Yeah, he's great in pretty much everything.
Like that. Did y'all hear about the Russell Crowe thing that happened yesterday?
Uh-uh.
I didn't know he had a Twitter account, but like they're.
Is this Will's wife?
Stop coughing into the fucking microphone.
Oh, seriously. WTF, mate.
I like how Will's having like a "This is your life," just like coming in. I'm expecting like my second grade teacher to pop up, like, Barry, how did you see in your social studies group?
Sorry, guys, I had to do that. That's the girl I sing to, Jordana. That was her. I told her, I was talking to Adventure, I was like, you're going to have to get on the show one of these days, because she's really funny.
But y'all ready to jump back in?
Okay.
Ooh, that was a long pee, everybody.
Yeah.
Was that a long pee for you?
Yeah, it's only been like, what, 30 seconds, probably? Not like 20 minutes. So, what's our subject that we're rolling into?
Yeah, we haven't covered anything. We haven't discussed it yet, but our topic today is the movie Groundhog Day. Not just the movie, but its impact. I mean, it is now part of our lexicon. Everybody knows what Groundhog Day is. 2020 has pretty much been a Groundhog Day. Wake up, do the same shit every day.
Never ending Groundhog Day from hell, yeah.
Hope the next day. Hope tomorrow is a different day, but it's still the same old lockdown, COVID, working from home. Will, what brought this topic up? Why did you decide to choose this one?
Well, I'm one of those guys that I did before that I heard Christmas shit too, so I don't want to hear any shit from anybody. Like, if there's a seasonal movie, I'll watch it in the season. Like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Black Christmas. I'll only watch those in December. But I do have other movies. Groundhog Day, even though it's a great movie, I only watch it on Groundhog Day. Even though I've watched it when it's not been Groundhog Day, but it seems special on that day. And I actually watched it early to take notes and stuff like that today. But it's also like it's a fascinating premise for a movie, and it's something that's been used before, and it's also one of those movies that like what you said about it's been ingrained into our lexicon. Like there's certain movies. I came up with a list of 9 of them. I will share that with you. There's probably more, but I'll read them to you, and you all see if you all like. Most people actually they may not have ever seen the movie, but they've heard the term, and they know what you're talking about. Rashomon, like the Rashomon effect, multiple points of view with different opinions. Mm-hmm. Peyton Place, gossipy small town. We hear Manchurian Candidate every political election, depending on I've heard Obama's a Manchurian Candidate, and I've also heard Trump's a Manchurian Candidate, depending on who you listen to. More people know who Stepford Wives are than have actually seen the movie, and basically it's a suburban housewife that is submissive to her husband. A Fatal Attraction, we know what that is.
Yeah,
we know what a single white female is. Groundhog Day, of course. And the last 2 are the most recent ones, and they're both 20 years old, of course. Mean Girls and Final Destination. Mean Girls is just a cliquey group of girls in high school, and Final Destination is where you barely just escape a horrible death.
I was
And
thinking Catch 22.
yes, that's a good one too.
I've never seen this, but Sophie's Choice.
Yes, do you know anything about the movie?
No, I don't know why I've never seen it. It's always been like around, but I've just never watched it.
Have you seen Derek?
I don't think so.
Man, it's depressing. Like, and it's it's Sophie. She's a Jewish woman during World War II, and she's got two children. And she goes up to a Nazi guard, and basically the guard goes, "Okay, your daughter or your son? I'm killing." And she has to make the choice on the spot which one lives and which one dies. I know I'm probably spoiling the movie, but Jesus Christ, man, it's
Sounds
one
like
of
a
the
really
tough.
short movie.
Well, no, it's a great movie. But it's not. You don't feel good. There's certain movies you watch and you never need to see again. Like usually they do with the Holocaust for me. Like I don't I don't need to see Schindler's List again or Sophie's Choice again because they're great, but you don't feel good about humanity because you're seeing shit that happened when that represents the worst of humanity.
I keep forgetting. Have you seen Dear Zachary, Will?
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes. I just read a book about there's an author named Kelly Beninsky, and she wrote a book about that fucking bitch. Susan, what's her name?
Hmm.
Yeah, I can think of her last name.
Shirley.
Yeah, it is Shirley.
I got it written down. Give me 1 second. Shirley Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a great book. It's a great movie. I mean, it's depressing though. But
Not something you want to watch twice.
No, and the thing is, it's got that sort of like the only other movie I can compare that one to is Million Dollar Baby. Million Dollar Baby is a great boxing movie until that one scene happens, and you know it's happening, and and every time I watch it now, because I watched that one multiple times, I'm thinking, what would it hurt if there's just one time where that didn't happen, and we just have the rest of the boxing movie, but it didn't happen. And that's kind of what happens. There's Zachary. No, I'm not gonna spoil that one because that's a once in a lifetime movie that was made.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was doing some research on that the Groundhog Day technique, where it's basically there's a pattern to these movies, and there's several movies that do this. There's one that got nominated for an Oscar called 1201. It's a short film from 1990. They did a remake in 93, and there's actually a lawsuit between that and Groundhog Day because the premise is so similar. There's a great German movie called Run Lola Run that deals with it, and the rest of them are science fiction movies, Source Code and Edge of Tomorrow. And and then looking back, there's a couple of short books that use the technique. The earliest I can find is a book called Defense of Duffer's Drift. And it's it's like 30 lessons that dude in the military learns by having to repeat the same scenario over and over again. But the gimmick is dreams. Then about 20 years later, there's a book. It's got a great title called Battle of Boobies Bluff. And it's just funny because Boobies is in the title. And I'm immature like that.
Yeah.
And it's written anonymously by a dude that was in the service. And it's kind of a parody of Defense of Duffer's Drift. But he got pissed off because his superiors, they were still using Civil War tactics in World War One, and they were getting people chewed up because they didn't have tanks and airplanes and shit like that in the Civil War. But I read both of them today, which I'm proud of because I read two books. I mean, it was 180 pages, but I did that in 4 hours. Right. And the thing is, usually with gimmick movies, usually the gimmick outweighs the movie, like the story of the movie. Like most 3D movies, the story's really not that good. Like it's just except for Avatar, but like all the other like in Toy Story 3, but like Friday 13th in 3D, like it's
About Jaws 3D.
like I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that, Derek. Yeah, but like it's one of those where like it's a perfect storytelling device for the perfect story, and it's pretty cool. Like and it's also it's a weird feel good movie because like you start off with the guy's a prick, and this is the second part of the Bill Murray's a prick trilogy. We covered Scrooge on our Christmas episode, and
Yep.
the third part's Kingpin. Where like like there's no redemption at all. Kingpin, and it's probably the funniest of the three movies. Do you all remember the first time you all watched Groundhog Day?
Nah,
Yeah, I mean,
not the first time.
watched it around the time it came out, but remember loving it. I yeah.
Well, it was one of those movies that they always showed on HBO back then. Would get movies in their circulation and they circulate them, and you'd end up like watching like the same movie like 13 times in a month. And Groundhog Day was one of those movies that you did that with because it was that good and you enjoyed it. And there's so much great shit in the movie, like and so much great shit that like the people usually they complain when they do like remakes and commercial tie-ins and stuff like that. When they did the Groundhog Day commercial for the Super Bowl, everybody was happy. That was the only time anybody was happy this past year. When they saw that, like, Bill Murray driving a truck with the groundhog. But what's cool about the movie is that, like, they established Bill Murray's a prick right off the bat. The first scene when he's doing the weather, you can tell it, like, he thinks that he's better than the job he has, and he's kind of not taking it seriously, and he's kind of fucking around. And like and he runs into Rita, played by Andy McDowell, who's got the job. She's happy about it. You can tell she's happy about it, and you can tell she's gonna try to make the best out of it. And they got to go down and cover Groundhog Day. And then we go through the very first Groundhog Day, and it's all this. It's all they set up markers throughout the movie. The day one, like the polka music, the Sonny and Cher stuff, the Ned Ryerson stuff, and it's pretty cool on the DVD. They showed how they did it, because when you're dealing with movies, especially if you're shooting exteriors, you got to deal with weather, you got to deal with lighting. So they show all the Ned Ryerson scenes in one day, and it's pretty cool because they actually show like all right, this is day one, and like the day two where he runs away from him, day three when he goes Ned and he slugs him. So I mean, it's pretty cool, and that's also like a interesting thing. Stephen Tobolowsky, the guy that's Ned Ryerson, he did another crazy like time. He's in Memento, which is wild. That like he's in two movies that kind of like fuck with time.
Who was he? Oh, that's right. He was Sammy Jenkins.
Yes, or yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but I just remember him being. But like it just that it was cool that like in two great movies that were great, because everything that like they didn't fix this movie in the editing room. Everything that like was scripted out. They like so basically everything was pre-shot and pre-edited before they did it, and there should have been some Oscar nominations from this movie, but like but I don't think I there might be a screenplay nomination, but that's about it. So, you guys want to talk about key scenes, or what are y'all thinking?
I figured that was it. It's a good episode.
No, it was so before our recording here. So we talked about I'd watched this about a month and a half ago. Showed the kids. They'd never seen it before, and for just rehash, I got on YouTube and was watching all kinds of different things last night, and something that popped in my mind that I recall thinking when I was watching it was the whole purgatory theory. And so I guess one of the theories floating around. So the movie, as you discussed, he is a weatherman sent to Poxitani
Mhm.
to check on the Groundhog Day, see how Poxitani feel, what because he's a shadow, and then gets stuck in this little town day after day after day. And there's a scene early on, which I I felt that he's stuck in purgatory, but when they discuss the wreck or the traffic and the snow, there's a theory that he dies in a wreck in the scene, and then he is then now stuck in this town. He's in purgatory, and he's atoning for he's slowly. It takes him a long while. People suggest a couple weeks to like thousands of years. I've seen all kinds of numbers, but he's stuck here until he finally figures out that caring for others um, and is like what he needs to change about himself. Um, and that was the theory that got me the most. Like that one, there's all kinds of stuff with Ned being the devil. People have kind of went all over this movie, but the purgatory one gets me. On the surface, it could definitely be a guy that's just um, stuck in a loop, but I guess to make it a little bit more sensible, um, it would
Well,
definitely seem that purgatory would make more sense in this movie.
I hope I'm not stepping on Will's toes for his facts, but you kind of mentioned it. Harold Ramis himself, the director, said that it was 10 years he spent reliving the same day. And the thing was, What Culture, I think, said that they try to break down all his actions and like how long it would take to master like the piano and all stuff. And they estimated 12,395 days. So 33 years and 350 days.
Well, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm such a dork with this movie that actually I've listened to Harold Ramis's commentary several times because it's a great movie. And plus he was a great director and like a really interesting dude
And a great actor.
Yeah. But like he said that like there was a scene that he wanted to do where Phil went to the library and basically he read one page of a book every day, and like they're gonna do like a time lapse shoot like thing where he's just going through every book and he's reading every book that's in the library, which I thought would have been a cool scene, but like, he explained it like that like he really didn't do anything, and all the other knowledge that he gained, he actually put to practical use. Like there's nothing wrong with reading all those books, but like he wouldn't be able to use all that information like later on.
Well, plus like I feel like that would change his character too much.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he would become philosophical and detached from. Is it Andy? Is that her name in the movie?
Rita.
I don't know. I thought it.
Andy McDowell.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, I feel like you'd become detached from like being with Rita if you went and like read a whole library's worth of books.
The thing is like there's so many because we don't know the time frame of the movie. That's one of the beautiful things. Like I tried counting the edits when he's trying to have the perfect date with Rita. And where he's just like step by step and like you see him fuck up. It's almost like he's having save states, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Somebody fucks up, he's just like, all right, see you later. Like walks away.
yeah. Well, there's have you all seen Edge of Tomorrow?
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's a great movie.
yeah, it's a great companion piece to Groundhog. Same premise, Barry. But but it's basically if you put Starship Troopers and Groundhog Day together with a little bit of aliens in there because Bill Paxton's in it. And there's times where like Tom Cruise fucks up and he just fuck it, and he just like jumps in front of a train, and then like the day starts over.
I love when like I love that movie because like one of the things he has to do is So he's in the military. He's in the military, and he's like kind of like a prisoner in the military because he fucked up, and so they're keeping an eye on him to make sure he doesn't escape. And so part of his day is he has to escape, and he has to like roll across the ground when they're doing push-ups. He has to roll across the ground at a certain time to go in between the wheels of this passing truck. And I love in that movie, if I remember correctly, like even though he's lived like 100 days already, he fucks it up still and rolls into the wheels and gets run over and killed. And it's like, damn, I gotta do that again.
Yeah, the scene. So it was funny. The kids and watching it, they're you know they're young teenagers, so they're getting dark, and they kept thinking of new ways, you know, as he's killing himself. Like, oh, I'd have done this, or like he should jumped in the into a river and like got eaten by a shark, or like I mean, just
Those damn river sharks.
those damn freshwater
Yeah.
sharks. But no, I mean, they had a blast in that aspect of it. But
You need to watch Cable Guy with them if you haven't already.
yeah,
That Strays into the Dark. It's a very underrated, excellent film in my opinion.
but yeah, and yeah, me being a kind of a rom-com guy, Bill Murray does not fit in rom-com, right? He's not a Ryan Gosling, he's not Matthew McConaughey, he's Bill Murray. And
Yeah. I would never say he was a good-looking guy.
yeah, and it's nice to see how that relationship builds. Like it's shitty. It's shitty in the fact that he wants to give her a perfect day, sure, but it does feel cheap.
I mean, it's for his benefit. It's not like
Yeah, it's still his benefit, so it's still kind of creepy, while somewhat romantic.
there's a lot of parallels there, I think, with Scrooged, where
Mm-hmm.
it takes her to kind of make him a better person.
Mm-hmm.
Where like he probably wouldn't have. I mean, if he hadn't pursued her and then realized like, oh, I got to be this like good person, which hopefully hopefully eventually wasn't a front,
Yeah.
then he may not have ever escaped his Groundhog Day predicament.
Yeah. And then they do a great job here. So I'm a sucker for small town in cinema. So like, I mean, Derek, y'all used to make fun of me. I was a Dawson's Creek guy because they did a good job of like selling people in the town. Gilmore Girls, I love Gilmore Girls because like it literally, one of the main characters is the town. You meet the dance instructor, you meet who runs the grocery store, you meet like all these small town people, and you kind of get a similar thing with this movie where you get the town plays. I mean, obviously it plays a huge role, but you just meet every day he lives. You run into is it a bed and breakfast he's staying at? So you run into that.
Yeah, the old ladies.
Yeah, you run into Ned. You keep seeing these people kind of over and over again. In a parallel to Scrooged, you have the old man.
Yes.
That's there that he can't save. So
What's his
yeah,
name again, Will?
I don't know his name.
Well, it is the actor's name.
What are you talking about?
And Scrooge, the old man he can't save.
Oh, isn't it? That's the guy from Bonnie and Clyde. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He's also in House of a Thousand Corpses.
also one of the greatest episodes of Star Trek.
Oh yeah, he was like
Sure.
a weird kid, wasn't he? In that,
He's in the episode with the Grups, right? Grups. I think it's a city on the edge of tomorrow where it's ran by kids.
hey, Edge of Tomorrow, it's a tie-in.
There you go.
It's all comes
Alright.
together, fucking Illuminati and shit.
Uh, shit. I lost my place.
We're talking about the Illuminati.
No, I don't know that Scrooge thing like fucking derailed me. You can't pull shit like that with me, Derek. Because if I don't know the answer, I'll drive myself fucking crazy trying to figure it out.
He's got kind of a funny name, I remember. But yeah, he's an amazing character actor. I always love everything he's in.
And then
Now, that old man scene in Groundhog Day is heartbreaking because, like, he just nothing works. No matter what he does, Nothing works.
Yeah.
And although the thing is that they can get sprung on us when that little kid fell out of the tree, like it'd been nice if they would have said like that happened, but like they kind of sprung that on us. Like also two of my favorite scenes in the movie involve kids. One, when he first goes to the piano teacher and and asks for lessons, and she goes, "Well, I'm with a student right now," and he just flashes the cash. And all of a sudden, that kid gets fucking like thrown out. Like it was like
Yeah.
the Fresh Prince of Bel Air when he get tossed. And
Yeah.
another thing is when he has a snowball fight with those little kids. There's one scene where he's throwing snowballs where he drills a kid with a snowball, and you can feel it through the screen. I mean, it made solid. I mean, pinpoint accuracy and solid contact. You know
I
what I'm
thought you
talking?
I don't remember that, but I thought you were going to talk about the kid in the tree.
That's why I said before. It would just would have been nice if they mentioned Timmy Jenkins fell out of a tree and he was paralyzed for the rest of his life. And then Bill Murray just just a couple times where you just maybe it's just a dark sense of humor in me where you just see him sit down and you see his eyes and you don't see the kid fall, but you just see him follow the kid down to the ground. You hear a splat.
He's kind of like,
when things just aren't going right for his day, he goes, "Fuck, I give up for the day." And he just sitting across on a park bench and he's watching that kid just fall out of the tree.
Just relishing eating popcorn. I love the one where he catches him and he's like, I can't remember how many times he's like, every single time, like, not once you've ever thanked me. He won't let the kid go. He's so mad as a kid and never thanks him.
Go ahead, Will.
No, there's a cameo in the movie that's and the guy's become a big star. Did y'all get it?
Crap. You talking about the tickets?
Yes. It's
Think...
Michael Shannon.
Yeah.
Lexington's own Michael Shannon, I think.
Yeah, man.
Huh.
Yeah, him and his they get tickets to
WrestleMania.
Yeah, like that. That's funny.
Which the thing is, if that came out in '93, that would have been WrestleMania 8 or 9 or maybe 10, which has the greatest matches ever. It has Owen versus Brett and Shawn versus Razor in the ladder match. All the other matches suck though, but just for you wrestling fans out there.
WrestleMania 9.
What you're saying is Michael Shannon really enjoyed those tickets.
Probably. Well, for at least 2 matches.
Yeah.
He's another very well versed or very very capable actor. He does awesome all kinds of different roles.
Yeah,
he plays crazy really good.
He's fantastic. He's fantastic in Boardwalk. I love him in Boardwalk Empire. Shit. There's something that. So I was going to ask, when do you side with Bill Murray, his character in this movie? When do you? Not necessarily how he's portrayed in the movie itself, but when do you feel for Bill Murray?
Man, here's the weird thing. I feel sorry for him. When he has that Twilight Zone, the second day, where everything just feels weird, and he's just trying. He's kind of backing away from things. And then and then he. That's when he's driving on the tracks later on in the night. I think that's the second or third day in the movie. Or second, third time loop. Then that next time, he realizes how he can play the system, and I think I'm on his side then because, where he just, what was your name? Who's your senior English teacher? And because I don't know if I told you all this story before, but I'm veer off and make this story. Our buddies, Brad and Ken, not Fingers, the other Brad. they used to come pick me up when they were going to lunch, and we go to Chipotle or Hardee's, depending on what day of the week it was, because they're weirdos and they like schedules. Anyway, and it was Christmas. Have I told you all the story about the lady got me?
I don't think so.
Okay, because this kind of happened to me. What Bill Murray does to that lady, it's a seducer. this lady did to me to scam me out of money. I went. I had a comic book, and I was waiting for Brad and Ken to show up. And I was sitting there, and I was and I was drinking my drink, and I was waiting for them to come, and then it was winter, it was Christmas, and this somewhat attractive girl comes into the store, and she looks at me, and she goes, "Oh my God!" And she goes, "Ah!" And and she comes over, she gives me a big hug. She goes, "I haven't seen you forever. You look exactly the same." And I'm like, in my mind, I'm going, I don't know who this is. Who the fuck are you?
But you didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, because I'm going through my mind. I'm like, because I hate. Obviously, she remembers me from something. Wait.
She's still in the cat.
She's jacking the cat. Anyway, so and then she sits down across from me. She goes, "How's your mother?" And I'm like, "Okay, she knows my mom. How does she know my mom?" And then she goes, "You still read comic books? Well, I thought you would outgrow that." So I'm like, "Okay, so she obviously she knows me from high school. She knows my mom. Okay, what's her name?" And then she goes,
Girl.
So I'm trying to fish for information, right? I go, "So how are you doing? Well, you've been you live in Lexington?" She goes, "Nah, I'm all around." She goes, "I'm really having kind of a rough time because I went to the mall earlier." And then her voice starts cracking a little bit. Then she starts crying, and I'm like, "Huh? What's going on?" And she's crying like really loud, uncomfortably loud, where people are looking at us, right? And everybody just saw her be really happy to see me, and she sat down with me. She's talking to me. Now they hear her crying, so they're automatically thinking like, "Wow, this guy's being a fucking asshole to her," right? She gives me a sob story about how she went to the mall. She saved all couple paychecks worth of money to go to the mall, and she left her purse in her car, and somebody broke into her car and stole her purse and all her Christmas money, and now she doesn't have any gas money to get back home. And so I'm thinking okay, and I'm still trying I should have saw it was a scam, but stupid naive me wants to make would think, why would anybody steal money from me? Well. And I'm like, okay, well, so do you want some food? She goes, "No, I just need gas money to get home." She goes, "I'm really tired of Lexington." And I'm like, okay. So I gave her $20. She gives me a big hug, and she goes, "Oh my God, here, write down your phone number, write down your address, and I'll send you the money back." And then she did, I did that, and then she left, and then then the guy from Chipotle comes over, goes, "Yeah, you shouldn't give her money." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "She's been trying to do that all day to people." And I'm like,
He didn't warn you?
I'm like, why was she still in the store, asshole?
Yeah.
It's sort of like if I saw a spider crawling on one of your all's faces and you all didn't recognize it, and me going, "I should probably tell them that. They'll figure it out." Yeah. And there's a spider that's ready to bite you all in the face.
Goes in our mouth and
I'm gonna beat you to your own joke, Derek. You ready? Will, you should have been "There's more where that came from," and then point down at your dick.
Yeah. You gotta fish this money out yourself, sweetheart.
Yeah, but that's
you gotta read comics still. I also fuck bitches, and then
the thing is, I don't know what I've done to you all to give you all this impression that that's how I talk. Or that I'm constantly just having my wang out. Or
do you ever wish you could Groundhog Day yourself back into that and just fuck with her back? Just be like, "Oh yeah, you were my first time. I lost my virginity to you."
After they looked at you like you're an asshole, you should have been like, "I told you not to get that abortion. I was going to raise that baby."
I can't believe you used a plunger to kill it.
See, guys, I could have used you all, back then, the pop in, like how Kent popped in.
Yeah. See, me and Barry could be Barry would be the angel on your shoulder, and I'd be the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah.
So Derek, what was your answer to that question of mine? When do you sympathize with Bill? Or Phil? I guess his name Phil. His name's Phil.
I guess when he kind of starts hitting rock bottom and he starts like killing himself because he can't find a way out.
Yeah. And I guess because then it's past the grifting stage. It's past the whole like trying to use it for. He's done. He's exhausted and he's done. And yeah, because I mean, I guess that's kind of where I fall too. Because I mean, what do you do day in day out? Do they okay? So that purgatory theory. Do they tackle him trying to leave the town?
I no. Well, the only time like he tries to leave the town is like when he's calling like trying to get like like rides and stuff like that. And like, what do you mean you're booked up? That kind of thing. He said, "Oh, try tomorrow," and he hangs up the phone.
I mean, does it count when he drives off a cliff with fucks Tiny Phil?
The that's the part where like that's where that purgatory thing comes in really strong for me, because I'm like, maybe this is in the middle of nowhere, but like if I'm living every day again or the same day again, I'm just gonna go all out. Like I'm gonna go on a road trip. You don't have to worry about fucking, like you just drive where the hell you
How
want.
far do you make it though?
All you do is fall asleep somewhere and you wake up in bed again. It's like that's the worst part of the trip is coming back, right?
I guess they never really cover like does he have to fall asleep or die, or could he be like in the middle of something then also like boom he wakes up?
Yeah.
I did a thing that where I was talking about the road marks, like and the things that are consistent, like that they showed you that first day. The brilliant thing is that like the music in this movie is pretty good. I mean, like it fits. The Sonny and Cher song's great, and like and I imagine that hell would be hearing like that kind of song over every fucking day.
Yeah.
Because I have a problem like like with like shit like that, because like that's a song people used to like listen to and get excited about on the radio, and I don't know, I get mad at the past, but there's certain songs like Black Betty or We Are the Champions where if I start hearing that I start getting mad, like they're just wasted radio. They wasted time on the radio, and there's people that were actually excited to hear these songs at one point when they're awful.
Superman. That's mine. If this was me in this movie, it's Superman. The Three Doors Down song.
Oh,
That's what I thought you were talking about, but I was like, really?
I mean, that would get me.
Well, I mean, now when that Sonny and Cher song comes on, most people are probably like, what's that Groundhog Day song?
well, the thing is, even that polka song, like I've heard that like when they go to the town square to like where they yank Phil out, like that polka song's been used in commercials, and people like, hey, it's that Groundhog polka song. And polka's a horrible form of music as well.
Yeah, it is.
And the Weatherman song that they play at the beginning, apparently Harold Ramis co-wrote that.
Huh.
And, yeah, which is pretty cool.
Didn't him and Bill Murray have a huge falling out over this movie?
Yes, this is the last time that they worked together.
Yeah, which is like I want to say Bill Murray didn't believe in this movie, but it wound up being awesome.
Yeah, the thing that like he said, I think he said it on Larry King. I'm paraphrasing Harold Ramis from the DVD commentary. He goes, "Yeah, Bill went on. Larry King said that this is probably the best work that he's ever done, and he knows for sure it's the best work that Harold Ramis is ever going to do."
I saw some stuff about, like, you talked about the snowball fight. Once again, this is YouTubers doing their research and stuff too, but they talked about how Ramis told the kids, like, throw it as hard as you can at him. Like, stuff like that. And what's crazy about Bill Murray and all this stuff with him and Ramis is the fact that, like, now Bill is looked upon as that guy that, like,
That cool guy.
cool. He'd show up at like someone's random birthday party and like party with you.
Yeah.
He doesn't come across as a prima donna that's like, I only want green M&Ms and like, throws a fit. But like, so there was a story in it, and maybe you all can confirm, or you heard the same thing at least, that I guess they tell him to, like, he gets an assistant, but like they use sign language, like they can't speak. So like I guess they have such a falling out that they don't talk to each other, and he's told to get an assistant to like help communicate, and he ends up getting someone that speaks American Sign Language. Did you all?
I haven't heard this before.
Okay.
It sounds funny though.
I like how you said that the person is, can't speak, and they stop speaking.
Yeah.
Oh, he has this person that can't speak, and then he's like, and then the two of them stop speaking.
Well, apparently, like the thing is, like, I'm not expert on things, like but like apparently there's a falling out between Andy McDowell and Bill Murray in this movie too, and Bill Murray actually told the story on the Howard Stern show, like that scene where he's just shoveling food into his mouth, and like and she quotes the poetry and stuff like that. Apparently, asking to do retakes, like but like and so he had to keep eating cake and stuff like that. And he said that he goes, yeah, I have 50,000 calorie meal, basically because she wasn't happy when she was just supposed to look off into the distance, and apparently, like his blood sugar probably got like the diabetic levels because he was shoving cake and food and waffles and stuff like that in his face.
Those scenes where he's trying to get everybody on board, like, no, you don't understand, like he's over here like, I've been burned, I've been this, I've been that, I've been that. And she's like, yeah, sure, yeah. Like it cracks me up because this makes you feel so bad for the guy. You're like, man, like there's nothing that you can do because you feel the same way. It's been so long since I've seen that, I forgot how he gets out of the loop, and you can kind of get the gist as you're watching it, that he's got to have to change his attitude and change who he is, if that's even possible.
So we haven't talked about the great Chris Elliott yet.
He is great.
That's kind of like also a scumbag in the movie.
Well, the weird thing is, and this is the thing about Bill Murray, and it applies to Chris Elliott too. Like, there's two types of Bill Murray characters. There's the shitty characters, the Groundhog Day and Scrooge, Kingpin, and even Ghostbusters. He's kind of a prick. And then there's the ones where he's like the Man Who Knew Too Little, and What About Bob, and the Royal Tenenbaums, and the other one that Kent likes.
Life Aquatic?
No. Rushmore.
Oh yeah.
Where he's not he's somewhat sympathetic. He's either an asshole or he's naively sympathetic.
So it's either asshole or asshole sympathetic.
Well, I mean, he knows what he's doing. Well, Lost in Translation. It's weird that that's the movie he got nominated for an Oscar for. He's supposed to be playing a version of himself, but he doesn't seem that wacky or crazy. Although that movie, the last scene in that movie is when they do that shit in movies, it drives me fucking crazy. Where you hear him whispering something, and then that's it. It's like, motherfucker, give us the guy that you cock tease us the whole fucking movie, and then then you roll the credits. Nobody else would have been able to get. If her last name wasn't Coppola, she wouldn't be able to get away with that shit. But anyway, back to Groundhog Day. Now, Chris Elliott is a comedic genius, and he's. I wish there had been more of him in this movie because he's funny, and and it's the thing is he kind of grows into being a prick as the day goes on for Bill. As Bill Murray gets better, Chris Elliott seems to get kind of sleazier and slimier.
Of course, it's not like Bill Murray helps him.
Well, I mean, he points out the camera view and stuff like that, and then my favorite part, I think, is my favorite scene in the movie is when he flips out when he's on camera, and, and like right before he steals the. I don't really care about the way when he steals the groundhog, but like when he goes, "Well, Western Pennsylvania," he goes, "You're all a bunch of fucking hypocrites."
So Chris Elliott wrote and starred in one of your favorite movies, Will.
Oh my god.
Right?
Movie. That fucking movie.
I don't know.
Cabin Boy.
Have you never seen Cabin Boy?
No.
What?
Then
You never
you
seen
had-
Cabin Boy?
Don't you want me, motherfucker?
Oh my god, that movie's so great.
It is not.
Yes, it is. It is so great.
It is. I
He
was trying-
wrote it, so you know it's good.
Wrote it. It's a Citizen Kane, man. He starred in it.
Yeah.
He didn't direct it, but
Nah.
co-produced by Tim Burton. I did not know that.
Well, the thing, Chris Elliott, like, it sucks too because I wish that they would have they'd show him, but like, apparently he was like a regular part of David Letterman's show back in the early '80s, but like I don't know who has that footage. What with all the TV stations that they have, why can't they replay old Letterman?
That should be it. That should be its own streaming channel by now, or like a website you go to that just plays 24/7.
This
Stuff
is
like that.
a little sidetrack, but one thing that I hate about the talk shows now is the one of the things I loved them back in the day is they would have a music guest that would come on and play a song or two, and then they'd sit down with the band, and they don't do that anymore.
No,
Always loved that because you get to see them talk and cut it up with like a band you liked.
Yeah.
well, yeah, like I remember clearly. I remember like Letterman actually talking to David Bowie, which there's connections now that things pop up. David Bowie's son's name is Duncan Jones, and he directed Source Code, which is a movie that has Groundhog Day tendencies. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but anyway, but it was weird seeing David Bowie getting interviewed. But like but like another thing too, there's enough episodes, like they said of Jeopardy, like where they could play enough episodes where they wouldn't start repeating for like 8 months if you play them 24 hours a day.
Crazy.
That's
So, and Jeopardy features in Groundhog Day. Like, why isn't that a channel? That seemed like that'd be the smartest channel to have.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know.
Just do random. Yeah, just have a random playlist just going through. But
I mean, because like people say Game Show Network, I'm like, no. Here's the thing, like there's a lot of game shows that don't make any fucking sense. Like you can't play Password at home because you know what the password is. And if you just scream the answer, you're just screaming, but you're not helping anybody. Like, and you can't the fun about Jeopardy and even Wheel of Fortune is that like it's a puzzle you solve or it's a question you answer or an answer you question.
For a brief bit at work during lunch, we would put on old episodes of I think it's called like Supermarket Rush or something.
Supermarket Sweep.
Is that what it was? Supermarket Sweep.
Yeah, they get.
And it's like,
yeah.
and so during lunch we put it up on the TV in our office, and we'd have a few people in there. And you want to talk about screaming at the TV? Like, I don't think there's any show that you would scream at the TV as much as that show because you're like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? Like, no, go over here where the expense stuff is. Like, oh my god, you're an idiot.
Get the batteries.
It's hilarious.
Get turkeys. Yeah, like it's.
Yeah.
I just looked it up, and it's weird to me. It's showing that 1965 is when that show started.
Yeah.
I would love to see the 1960s episodes of that show.
All groovy and fucking hippies and shit.
Yeah, or like what they're like, or like a housewife still that's like prim and proper.
Yeah. They probably didn't let women on the show back then.
But yeah, Chris Elliott, he always plays a great. I mean, he's got his claim to fame again with his Roland character on Schitt's Creek, and but he's always been a great little side character, and
Also, and I just not realized it, he pops up at Kingpin. Like, there's a scene in Kingpin, they reenact it, Indecent Proposal, where
Yeah.
where Woody Harrelson sells Randy Quaid. But, like, it just sucks that there's no crossover with Bill Murray, though.
So that's part of Will's homework to watch Cabin Boy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so it says Tim Burton was going to produce it, or maybe direct it until he was offered Ed Wood. So he jumps off the project and does. But no, Cabin Boy is fucking outrageous. Like
It is.
Ed Wood, another movie with Bill Murray in it.
There you go. One of his best roles. I love that. His character on that he's just so good in that movie. But
Also, a weird thing, like it's a movie with two Hunter Thompsons in it, because Bill Murray played Hunter Thompson in Where Buffalo Roam, and Johnny Depp played Hunter Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and the Rub Diaries.
And Hunter Gatherers is in the Venture Brothers, which is like a Hunter S. Thompson character. if you've watched it, Will.
I watched the first couple episodes of it, and I liked it, but when I was watching Rick and Morty at the same time,
Yeah.
and I like Rick and Morty better. I started watching Archer, and then I forgot all about Venture Brothers.
Venture Brothers, it's good early on, but it turns like absolutely great like in like season 4. So
I've got them all. Whenever I'd go to Half Price Books, I'd grab like a season or two, like, because I think in the back of my mind I always knew there was going to be some kind of crazy pandemic shit that was going to happen, and I've been stockpiling my entire life, just like hoarding like all these books and movies and shit like that.
And then the pandemic happened, you couldn't enjoy it.
Duh.
well, you need to, like, in your will, just leave your collection to like the local library.
You could just like tell them to build a library, a
Yeah,
totally new library with this collection.
I like the idea that here's what we do. Will gets stuffed and left there on the couch, and then you go through his house and you get that's the library, and he's just there, probably nude. I would say it's probably the best setup, just on the couch.
He always has his dick out.
Yeah.
I'm just
just gonna be a new.
have me rotating like the fans, just going back and forth, but have it so I'm helicoptering with my wing.
Oh, I like it.
But I feel like there's gonna be a news article someday where like local man found buried under like a pile of DVDs that tipped over.
Or like they set him up. They set you up like Carradine, but like that's not how you died. That's just how they keep you in perpetuity.
Yeah.
All right, so we've been off from Groundhog Day for a bit now. So, what more do we want to discuss about this movie outside of it just being? I watched it. I think I had such high marks on it when I was a kid. When I watched it a month or two ago, I didn't like it as much as I did as a kid. But now that we're sitting there talking about it and going through the notes last night, I'm like, you know what? Like, no, it is a great movie. I just think that because I was sitting there thinking, What About Bob's my favorite of his? I'm pretty sure. I love me some What About Bob, and Scrooged.
It could have been like a 4 or 5 hour movie though.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it would be enjoyable the whole time, but like I would love to see more scenes of stuff he did.
So Will, you brought up a bunch of movies that are similar to.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been a TV show?
Yes, there was a show. The name's escaping me right now, but Kai Pfeiffer was a star of it. And basically, I forgot like what the premise was exactly, but it got canceled after like there was 12 episodes and it got canceled after like season 12 because that was before like the era of streaming and binge watching things. Like you had to like actually like watch shit as it came out, and I think it was on Fox, And like and they would preempt it. Like if there's a baseball game or a football game or something like that, they're like, yeah, fucking who cares? Because the only thing that like Fox wouldn't like preempt was back then was 24.
Yeah, because I mean, this would have made not that you would get Bill Murray in a series of this time, but like this would have been an epic. And I can't imagine how great a show like this could be. Because it's one of those things. It's like a story device that you can do a lot with. One entire episode could be a drama about the neighbor that you never meet. But in all these days, you finally get a full story of them. It's one of those. It's like the Sandman, right? So Sandman is the main character, but you get so many other characters in that story because everybody dreams.
I think it would be hard to tune into a show that would be the same day over and over again.
I mean, but imagine what you can do with it being the same day, but like instead of focusing on one person, focus on that one day with other people too. Like
I think it would have to be like a like an exclusive series and not like a sitcom.
yeah, I guess like a 12-part series maybe because you could.
Yeah, like I don't think it could be a sitcom.
Because he could be the main character can be the indirect character on the subsequent episodes.
Well, the
You
thing
set up
is,
the story, and then you see things that he's doing in the background also, and how it's affecting this town, even indirectly. It's almost like It's a Wonderful Life setup. He could be doing some crazy shit on the side, and how it subverts things that are happening around him.
well, guys.
What's up?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, like the little green square didn't light up. Well, no, like you're giving the audience way too much credit there, Barry.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna be one of those shows. It would be it'd be a very heavy show, and like
In the early '90s, like I'd say from like '91 about '94, some of the greatest television shows of all time came out, and were kind of ignored.
yeah,
Twin Peaks, Northern Exposure, News Radio. They were just like because they wanted people to like actually be active participants and watch a show, get to know the characters. What happened? Seinfeld got big, Friends got big, and they kind of ruined like the sitcom format, and in in the Simpsons and stuff like that. Like you can watch episode from season 4 of the Simpsons, and then watch an episode from season 2, and you're not going to lose anything. The animation's gonna be a little bit different, but like you're not gonna something's not gonna get spoiled because you watch something like out of order.
yeah.
Like Twin Peaks, if you missed an episode, you're fucked, and they only showed it once back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Northern Exposure, like like there'd be a character that would die, and you'd be like, okay, where's this character at? And then like they mentioned 3 or 4 episodes later that they passed away. She's like, what the fuck happened? And like and like and to have a show that what's weird is like Groundhog Day is a really complicated premise, but the way it's pulled off, it looks like it's easy. And I don't think a television show can pull that off.
Yeah.
There's a great show called Boomtown a couple years ago. Do you all remember this show?
Sounds so familiar.
Okay, do you remember, Derek?
Nope.
All right, the guy who created Justified, not Elmore Leonard, but the guy who actually the showrunner, like Boomtown was Rashomon. It was Rashomon Weekly, and like you see characters and like you see their point of view for a scene, and then like you see the next character's point of view of the scene, and it was a great show, but they showed the first 12 episodes, and then like then they didn't show like any more, and then the night that they announced they're canceling it, they showed the last 4 episodes, and that was it. And like there's DVD of it, and it's a great DVD, but like there's no chance. Like when they revive shows, they never fucking revive that show.
Well, when Barry's talking about like a Groundhog Day type show, it reminded me of, this really isn't a Groundhog Day setup, but there's a show called Early Edition. It's got Kyle Chandler in it, and it's like he gets a newspaper delivered to his door. It tells like the future's events, and so he tries to like make bad stuff not happen.
Is this a
It's
newer
kind of
show?
in that same vein.
Mid '90s looks like.
Yeah.
I never heard of it.
2000.
It
I
was-
remember seeing this.
Yeah. I remember early on it was a good show because like it starts off like him having no clue what's going on, and he gets a paper delivered and it's telling like what happens that day. I guess you could say. I believe that's how it works. He gets tomorrow's newspaper today is what happens, and so he can see like all the terrible things that can happen, and tries to save people's lives, that kind of thing.
I'd never heard of this show. Like this actually sounds like a pretty interesting premise.
Yeah, I mean, it actually went for 4 years and 4 seasons, surprisingly. And I'm pretty sure it was really popular, but I think it was on a not big network, so it never had a huge chance to take off.
Yeah, like like that was the thing. Like if you made it to like one of the big three networks back then, you had to dumb your show down so much.
Yeah,
because I mean like there's a like Law and Order is a good show and Special Victims is a good show, but it's not like there's not a whole lot of episode to episode like storylines. Like the show starts off with a crime and then it gets solved by the end of it. It might not be a happy ending, but it gets solved. But when I was going through reviews of the Groundhog Day in my a couple of names kept getting popped up as references. Frank Capra, of course, because like the character, because it seems like there's a lot of parallels between It's a Wonderful Life and this. I see you making a face there, Barry.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the transformation, sure, but like, usually it starts off with a good character who slides down and then is redeemed at the end, versus a guy that just is a shit bag that turns into a good person at the end. It's missing half the formula, I think.
Well, the thing is, and also the Fellini came up a couple times. But I think that's just because of the music, like the actual like theme of Groundhog Day. It sounds a lot like Nina Rota like scores that would be done for Fellini movies. And the last name that kept popping up was Rod Serling, the Twilight Zone guy, which I can kind of like it's and the thing is, if you say either one of those got names by themselves, maybe not, but altogether I can kind of see it. Like this is like like if Rod Serling had rewritten It's a Wonderful Life and a crazy, wonderful, clownish Italian guy directed it.
Yeah, I could see putting them all three together. Yeah, him and Rowboat. Yeah,
but it's probably like it's a perfect movie. I think I can't really find any. Did you all have any like real flaws with it?
I mean, it sounds funny to say, but I mean, when Derek said it could be a 4 or 5 hour movie, that's the parts that fascinate me the most are the things we don't see. But once again, if I saw them, I'd say like, what about the other ones we don't see? Like, how many more days?
Yeah.
There's so many days. Like, you really can't be satisfied. So maybe it is. Maybe it is.
I'd say that, and you can't really do this because this is the heart of the movie. It's the point of the movie is the rom-com parts of him and Annie McDonald. Is that it? Jesus.
McDowell.
McDowell. Okay. Like I could almost do with less of those and more of just like random shit.
Well, because this is something I've often asked myself: if he's going through that and he's killed himself several times, right? Do you ever think that he went on a killing spree himself?
See, I was gonna say, like, I think this ties back into the episode I want to do sometime about if you had like the innate instant time travel, like back to like say an hour or a day before, like could you stay good? And I mean, I'm sure he did. I'm sure that he. I think
if he would have done it in the movie, it wouldn't have bothered me that much because I'm sick and crazy. But like because it's like like I think Corolla said it one time. He goes, you get the most responsible person that has a can of mace, and they'll get bored. They go, hey, here's a stray cat, and they'll just mace a cat for no reason, and they're not really evil. They get bored, and I just wonder, like if it turn the audience off probably, but I mean,
I'll put it this way:
yeah,
if in in the world that it's set in, no, because it's like a Disney film to some degree.
Uh,
Like it's like that's not possible in this world, but in reality, 100% yes.
he is so apathetic at the earliest part of the movie that when he then realizes that these lives are really meaningless, even his own, I can't not see him just murdering everybody in
And I
town.
mean, if you're in there for 8 years or 300 some days or however long, eventually you're gonna be like, okay, is this what I have to do?
Like how crazy is that movie? That's a great show right there. It's the Groundhog Day murder. It's having to murder everyone in that town.
Or just, I mean, the Twilight episode would be much. There it would be, like a handful of people, and the guy would keep living, and eventually he'd be like, all right, I got to kill this person, and then he kills them, and then the loop ends, and he goes to jail. That would be the Twilight episode version.
well, the 1201, the remake deals kind of, it's more science fictiony. Like they kind of delve into like why there's a loop and stuff like that, and uh I almost wish that that would be a good future, like all five of those movies, like Run Lola Run, Edge of Tomorrow, Source Code, and 1201 would be a nice little arc, because 1201 is like there's some really funny dark shit in that movie. And I don't want to spoil it for you all, but everybody just stop what you're doing and go watch it right now. Do you believe that shit?
Like, wow, it was wackadoo. Happy Death Day is another good one if you haven't seen that. That's it's like a college girl on campus, and she gets murdered by like a slasher, and then she keeps reliving the day and trying to make it end with her not dead. It's actually really good and really funny. I think it's like an MTV film even.
I
You know
never
what's
heard of
funny
it.
if you mentioned that, and I kept thinking of the shit. It was a dead man on campus.
That movie's so great. Oh god, Zach with Saved by the Bell. Zach, what's his last name? Oh wait, you never watched the show. You didn't like it.
Mark Paul Gosler.
Heck yeah.
Uh, did y'all? Yeah, that's off topic. But did you see Dustin Diamond as stage 4?
Yeah, cancer.
No.
The thing is, and not to call anybody a liar, but he's not really the most credible guy on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he has it, but he's kind of done a lot of skeezy shit. And
He should have done that. He should have came out with it 6 months ago, and then came on the news and be like, "Guys, it's a miracle. I've been
everybody
saved."
steal your animals, man.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like, guys, it's a miracle. I've been saved by the bell, and then they run the promos for the new show. It's been perfect.
There was actually a fairly recent movie. I think it's on Netflix still, called Arq, ARQ. That was a sci-fi movie where it's kind of like a guy invents a machine that malfunctions and causes a loop. And I want to say that, and it's kind of interesting. The movie starts off with someone kicking his bedroom door in and shooting his girlfriend or wife, and it's a pretty wild sci-fi movie, but it's pretty cool. It's worth a watch, I think.
There's just so many different angles. Did you all have you all watched Palm Springs on Hulu with Andy Samberg? Yeah. It's great. It involves it's the same principle, but the girl that he falls for finds herself in a loop as well. So they're in these two separate strange loops, but I think they can kind of cross paths. It gets fucking weird, but it's got some good stuff in it. But
Well, that was a few negative, like, because there's negative reviews about Groundhog Day, and one of the things, like, they never explain like exactly how the loop works, and it's just like why I don't understand like why people need to know like that part of it.
Well, that was something I saw, was that they pushed it, and I don't, once again, don't know if it's true or not, but they'd pushed it back. I guess they did write something, but they pushed it back far enough in the production schedule that somehow just kind of they never got to film it, which was their plan all along, I guess. But I guess like people at the studio wanted some explanation.
There's like, I mean, there's certain things in movies where it's like, yeah, I think they should explain that, but that's one of the things like we were talking about earlier, where I was like, okay, does he, if he goes on this road trip, say he tries to go all the way across the country at, whatever time he's supposed to wake up, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., does he just instantly go in there? Like, can he stay awake? That's one of the things that I don't think should be answered, that I think is more interesting to hypothesize after the fact, like we're doing.
Like he just gets like a bag of Coke and stays up for like a whole weekend.
Yeah.
And then he finally passes out. And it's back to Groundhog Day.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think. Yeah, I think you're an idiot if you think you need that stuff explained to you in that movie. That they, as much as is crammed in that movie and as much more as they could have put, that's pretty far down the list on things that I would. Like I said, I'd rather have more weird, crazy shit he does.
Well, I think that happened, like, because I'm a big Cusack fan, and like I was going through like the movies I haven't seen of his, and like they bought up Hot Tub Time Machine, and I haven't seen this movie, and like
You have to watch it.
There's like 2 or 3 of them, aren't there?
2 of them, I think.
But like somebody was asking him about the time travel in an interview, and like he goes, "It's a time machine in a hot tub. What more do you need?"
Exactly. He's like, dude, like, come on.
They spill a Russian. It's like a Russian Red Bull knockoff on the time machine, on the hot tub, which creates a time machine. Like that's, and they don't have to worry about it. They just go, yeah,
like Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman did like a Freaky Friday Switch movie kind of thing a couple years ago. Y'all remember this?
Believe so.
Yeah.
Where they're peeing in a fountain and then like get struck by lightning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The trailer made it look like it was going to be like a thing where they wouldn't, but like like they actually did the things that you always want people to do in those movies. It's like, well, he's paying the guy's wife. That's pretty funny. Like it's just like and they did. Vince Vaughn did a movie. It was like the premise was Freaky Friday the 13th. Did you all see this one?
I need to see this. I saw the trailer. I thought that looked awesome.
It looked like a pretty cool idea for a movie. But like the same people like that like Astro the Logic and like those movies like I wonder if they like does it really fucking matter? It's a goddamn movie.
Yeah, this is not Schindler's List. Yeah.
Well, that movie you were just talking about, Will, where it's Ryan Reynolds and he's in the other guy's body, and like, do you remember the name of the lady that plays his wife? The actress. She's huh?
I just remember like I saw the trailer, and I got pissed off because I'm thinking like because I like both those guys, and I'm like, why'd they waste them in a movie? And then I think it's the same guy that was telling me about GoldenEye. Like, he's the one that goes, man, he goes, nah, man, he goes, they go places that movie that, like, they wouldn't normally go, like, that kind of premise. So I'm like, he goes, yeah, man, he goes, you'll love it. And he was right. Because, like, usually they find an excuse not to do the shit that you kind of want to see. Like, hey, if I can switch buys with him, I'd bang his wife. Well, they actually do that in that movie.
Well, I'll say I like when, like, his wife, or I think Ron Reynolds is always like, dude, your wife's so hot, and he's all about it, and then like when he gets in there, it becomes like a marriage, and his wife's like on the toilet, fucking diarrheaing her brains out with a double, and he's like, oh no, he's like, it's ruined.
So What else we got for old Groundhog Day? Anything else I can be said about it?
I just like a thing that I thought about because I've often thought about like what happens like in movies like after when the credits roll. Like the biggest one for me is the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'd really like to know like when she's driving away, like what her day is after that. Because like there's gotta come a point where the guy like goes, "Hey man, I know I helped you out, but you're in the back of my truck and you got blood everywhere. Do you mind telling me what's going on?" And like and she's hysterical, right? But anyway,
I would assume that he would take her to the hospital, and he would. It would be one of those things where, like, he has no clue what her name is. She's in there, she's traumatized and injured, and then he like sticks around to when she wakes up.
well, or like the two biggest cliches about hitchhikers were the hitchhikers that were going around killing people, and the people that pick up hitchhikers to kill them. Like and how shitty would her luck be if that's like who she up?
Such an awful end of the movie.
But anyway,
yeah, it's like House of Thousand Corpses ends like that.
Just take the driver like a close up of his mouth, and he's just like, and that's the end of it. Like, oh shit, no, get out of the car.
But so I mean, like, what do you all think happens with Phil and Rita after the movie?
I think that I think it would be tough for him. Just like what I was talking about, where if he read the whole library, I think that if it's like say we'll take the fucking director at where he says 10 years. Like even though you won, I feel like it would that he wins and escapes the loop. You think it'd still be bittersweet, and you think he'd be kind of disillusioned after living 10 years and doing all kinds of different things.
Well,
I don't see it being a happy ending.
Well, okay. She had a great day with him, right?
Yeah.
And that was the whole premise was like, hey, you get out of purgatory. Like, like you get the girl. You just can't get her randomly. You have to work hard for her, right? And he gets her. And he wakes up with her. And like, and they have a good day. But the thing is, when they go back, the rest of the people he works with aren't going to realize that he had that fucking change. And they're going to be like wondering, well, this is kind of a workplace situation that's kind of awkward. Like, because there is a power, like, difference between the two.
Yeah. Well, but
like,
back then it wasn't an issue, though, probably.
Oh, yeah.
As much as it is now.
Man, they had sexual harassment back then.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like Weinstein. Like, got away with it forever, then all of a sudden people are like, oh, hey, this is bad.
But the thing is, like, could you imagine, like, they come back and, like, when they left, they're like, wow, he was kind of a dickhead. And he comes, and they're like, wow, we watched the broadcast, you really changed. And now you're dating her? What the fuck happened? Because even though it was thousands and thousands of days for him, it was just a day for everybody else.
But guys like this get married all the time, right? Like, guys are like, why does anyone love you? Because you're an asshole. And then the wife's like, you just don't know him. And, most of the time,
yeah. Oh, God.
But in this scenario, like, he's changed. It's so hard to conceptualize because
people don't change.
For the most part, without like a fucking rod through your brain or a chemical imbalance, suddenly people don't change. So
I'll say trauma changes people, and I believe he's traumatized and PTSD. So I think the big thing is like whether he actually keeps to his change, and if it's trauma and PTSD, then probably.
Yeah, I say that. Do any of y'all know a psychologist? See, I'd like to have like a psychologist view about this movie. Like, like I've read a couple of religious things. I might even read that same thing with the purgatory thing, and I also heard there's connections to Buddhism. But like, I just wonder, like, because like because it, and also I heard about like like there's almost kind of like a grief thing with him. Like there's denial, acceptance.
Yeah, the 5 stages.
Yeah. So, which is wild because you wouldn't think that a comedy but Bill Murray would have this much thought put into it. Not that he does stupid movies, because usually his comedies, like it's not like an Adam Sandler movie, but usually his comedies, while they're funny, the story's kind of secondary. I mean, because Ghostbusters, the story really there's not a big story there. It's just Bill Murray be funny, and these other guys are going to help you out.
I'll tell you that this is what I equate it to. I equate it to him being someone who goes to war for 10 years, is deployed for 10 years like in Afghanistan, and has some really, really shitty days. Friends dying, sees terrible things, kids blowing up, blah, blah, blah. And then the end of the loop is when he comes home. And it's like, he's fucked up. It may be like you hear a lot where they go, it's like to some degree the worst time in their life, and then they go back because it's what they know. Like, is it possible that he goes back the next year, trying to do it again?
But see, the only thing that I would disagree with is that his war is being an asshole. So like, if he's traumatized, it's almost, is there good trauma? Because like,
I don't think so.
It's different. It's different. The way he sees things are the opposite of how a soldier would see him coming back.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like we talked about cops being jaded. Like cops become jaded. If you get pulled over by an asshole cop, there's a small chance the guy's an asshole. There's a large chance the guy has seen the worst of the worst and equates you with being the worst.
Or he's just dealt with 3 assholes before you.
Yeah. So like in this scenario, it's the opposite. He has learned to see the world differently. And that change, I mean, yes, the things that he still has to deal with, he's killed himself on many days. He possibly mass murdered people. We don't know. That's a theory.
Like I said, I think he's fucked up because I think he has a little bit of Dr. Manhattan in him. Especially, like I said, if you read all his books, not to say that like knowledge is dangerous or anything like that, but I think to that extent, I don't think he can be a normal person when he gets out, and I think that I don't see it being a happy ending. I feel like he would play the part that he's learned to stay with Rita and eventually marry her, and I think that he couldn't keep it up.
Well, because when we cover Scrooged, and we talked about the Charles Dickens story, like that happens on Christmas Eve, right? The change.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's gotta be like a weird fucking thing that everybody knows Ebenezer Scrooge before that, and all of a sudden, like, hey, that asshole, he's trying to give us money now. Something's wrong. Like, because if somebody's an asshole and it's well established that they're an asshole, and they start being like really good all of a sudden, you just automatically assume that they're trying to do something even more evil.
or else it's like, oh, they must have found out they're on their deathbed.
Well, yeah,
we're trying to right their wrongs, but fuck that guy.
Like when I brought up that One Child Nation lady, like she's trying to do extra credit because she found out she could have died. She's like, oh shit, I don't want to go to hell, so I want to start like doing good things real quick.
I don't know. It's hard as a person that's not religious to know what happens after purgatory. If that is the full on story, then he ascends at the end. So like, and that's where I dropped the ball, because I'm like, I can't conceptualize heaven the way religious people do, because to me heaven to them is lollipops and winning the big game on Sunday, but like you can lose a basketball game. But
Trump's
I love
president for life.
So is that what part of that's heaven? Do I win all the games in basketball in heaven? Because like if I did that, I would not like basketball anymore. So it's kind of like that paradigm of like,
well, can God make a rock so big that He Himself cannot lift it Himself?
Yeah. Well, like, is it now every day so happy because they walk off into the sunset type of thing? Like they're just, oh my gosh, we're so in love. But eventually, that's Groundhog Day again. Like he's in love every day. That's great.
I think he's got trauma, no matter what.
Yeah,
I think he's fucked.
Yeah.
I think he's probably doomed to wind up in an insane asylum. It's like I don't know if y'all watched the show Lost, where one of pretty much the main character, I can't remember his name, winds up going back to the island after they finally escape the horrors of it, because it's what he knew, and he's trying to reclaim probably the biggest part of his life.
Yeah, it's hard for me to visualize anything bad happening to them if they are, like I said, if he has left purgatory and is now in heaven. So I don't know, but yeah, I feel like Derek's right though. It depends on how long he's really there though. To me, that's the big thing.
If he's there for like 30 days, sure. If he's there for 3 years or more, fucked.
But even then, 3 years isn't much. Me and my wife are 7 years apart. Like if
3 years living the same day though.
Yeah, but he's experienced so much. That experience is what I think could change his life. He's gonna be should be so much more intelligent than everybody else.
But like I said, if he adapts Dr. Manhattan mannerisms, then that's not a good thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Tough call. It's a tough call.
Well, I don't know. Somebody's beeping.
I was gonna say I don't know what the beep is.
Nothing important. Work email.
Oh. I had something I was going to say, and I completely just lost my train of thought. Give me 1 second, guys.
Probably Chris Elliott.
No.
Cabin boy. He's got cabin boy.
Cabin boy fever.
Cabin boy fever. Yeah.
Actually, you might just no. That did kind of jog something loose. Like, are you all fans of The Shining?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's a theory about that movie that, like, that hotel was purgatory for the Jack Torrance character, and like it's just a theory because like the documentary about The Shining kind of like planted a bunch of seeds, and there's a sequel called Doctor Sleep that like they just kind of ignored about like all these theories, but like and the more I'm thinking about it, he had to snap and start killing people, like because oh yeah that I remember my thought that, but like because like in The Shining, he's with his family for a couple like weeks, and then like, he fucking snaps. Bill Murray, Phil would have had like he would have saw something that he saw over and over again that pissed him off, and went, you know what, come here, and, like you start playing real life Grand Theft Auto.
Well, like to think about it, like it's kind of hard to say. Like I don't know if there's been a study on this, but like people that commit suicide versus people that commit murder. Like where he gets to the point where he's just like, I'm done. Well, like he's so apathetic early on that like, why not just kill things that he doesn't like? Like
Ned Ryerson would be the first one to die.
Yeah.
I remember the point I was going to make earlier. Sorry. Like it kind of ties to The Shining weirdly. Like in The Shining, he has that imaginary conversation with the bartender, right? Now, there's a bartender in Groundhog Day. Like, like when he's trying to have the perfect date with McDowell. You all remember this scene? Older black gentleman. He's watching Bill Murray try to woo. He's watching Phil. Yeah,
they're at the bar, right?
Yeah. Now he makes a look at the camera, like, can you believe this shit? And I wonder, and she also and this is something else I thought about too, because like when they go through the montage of her slapping him, she comments, she goes, "Your face is kind of puffy." Now, if he commits suicide and the next day he's back and he's fine, there's no marks or anything like that, why would his face be swollen from the hits? And the other thing too, like, I have a theory that I think that bartender, he's the only one that's kind of living Groundhog Day with Bill Murray, because he's just watching the way he looks. It's like, yeah, he's on the right track, kind of. He's gonna fuck this up. Like, watch this, folks. He's like, it's almost like he's kind of breaking the fourth wall.
I mean, a bartender also could probably write that moment. You know, as a bartender, seeing that play out thousands of times, not just with Bill and Andy, but like with others at the bar. You know what I mean? I mean, it could go both ways. It could be a fourth wall break. I can't recall the scene, but I can also picture a bartender reading this couple perfectly because he's seen it every day, every shift. You know, maybe a blind date starts, and through body language knows like.
Yeah, because he shakes his head, I think. But like, you know, I don't know. I guess I really should watch Groundhog Day and The Shining back to back, because like I think there might be some parallels there, guys.
Well, maybe the bartender is like Tony Todd in Final Destination. He's like the Reaper or like the devil. Maybe he's the orchestrator of it all, and that's why he breaks the fourth wall.
It's quite possible. Wait a second, guys. I think we gotta do theory here. That motherfucker's a guy who he got crossed by like Phil, and this is a revenge of. He puts that thinner curse on him.
Oh shit!
But instead of like, you know, like losing weight, he has to live the same day over and over again.
He didn't hold the elevator door when he was in there and tried to rush to it. Going back to Cusack real quick, though, Will, you need to watch War Inc., which is, I've told you before, is kind of like the sequel to Grosse Point Blank.
I love it because I love Grosse Point Blank.
Yeah, it's a great movie, Grosse Point Blank.
But I'm also a sucker whenever like you have both Cusacks in the movie together.
Yeah. Well, they're both in War Inc., I believe.
Yeah.
Well, we need to sign it off.
All right, guys. Hi, Mom. Wear a mask. Don't be a cunt. I'm talking to you, Mom. Don't be a cunt. I love you all.
See you guys later.
All right, guys.
See ya.